Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 1 of our story. If you like this What If story and want to see part 2, let me know in the comments below. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also, check the description for more great content and my playlist. This story was posted by 𝐻𝐿37 on Wattpad. Now let's start. Third-person POV. Several years after the defeat of 𝐒𝐿𝐵, we find Dart and Shana being attacked by powerful forces beyond even the divine Dragoon skills and power. They had gathered every Dragoon spirit and found a spell to merge them all into one. If the right person uses it, they unlock every Dragoon form. But the only way this can work is if that person can come of age. Until then it only gives one. To their dismay, that person is their very son Izuku Feld, a newly born child. They don't have the time to let him come of age. In their despair in what to do, the ultimate Dragoon stone reacts to him and opens a portal to another world. They can't believe what they see through the portal. But before they can trek through, they're attacked by the beings. Shana, I can't hold them back. Can you go through with him? Shana touches the portal only to be shocked by powerful magic. No. It won't let me. She quickly decides to write a note explaining the situation. Just as she finishes it, Dart is struck a lethal blow. Shana, in tears, knows not what to do. Dart, oh my God! She screamed as she rushed to his side. Shana must send him through to that world. It's the only hope to stop them. Shana, in tears, weeps for her beloved and for what she must do. She kisses Dart and then kisses little Izuku's forehead. I'm so sorry, Izuku. I wish we could have raised you. We love you, son. Please stay safe and find a way to stop these foes. She walks Izuku to the portal and he is lifted from her hands. Goodbye, son. Be strong. I love you, my gilded souled Sony. Love you, my Shana. Farewell, my love. Says Dart as he watches his son vanish, and Shana kisses him one last time. Godspeed, my love. I love you both with all my heart, my husband and my son. Save your new world, Izuku, son of Dart. She smiles as the tears fall just before the blockade is destroyed and a powerful spell destroyed them both. Inko POV. I was weeping. My husband divorced me for failing to bear a child. My heart was broken, and in my sadness I went to the one place I always found solace. Musutafu forest. I wished someone would take the pain away. Just then a brilliant rainbow light erupted in front of me. Once it cleared, I saw a baby in a basket with a glowing rainbow stone and a letter. The baby had green hair and eyes with freckles in a diamond pattern below each eye. I read the note as I lifted the basket. To whoever finds this child in this new world, I am Shana Feld, wife of Dart Feld. This boy is our son Izuku Feld. We are former dragoons, powerful dragon knights in our world. We were attacked by mysterious forces beyond even our strongest warrior Dart's power. In an effort to combat the threat, we fused all the Dragoon Spirit Stones into one, the ultimate Dragoon. But Izuku is the only one who can use it. When he comes of age, he will unlock the use of this awesome power. But our world would not last beyond this day. We were forced to send him unto yours all alone. Please protect our son so he may protect your world. Shower him with love and care. Train him to fight and be strong like his mother and father before him. Never let this stone fall into another's hands. Keep it hidden until his 10th birthday. My magic will grant him visions of us to help guide him. Thank you for whoever you may be. Thank you for giving our son a chance. No matter how slim it may be. Farewell. Dart and Shana Feld. I was knocked out of my sadness and despair. Here was a child who was for all intents and purposes human from another world. His parents died to give him the chance to live and protect whatever world he landed upon. The ultimate warrior from his world. He may not develop a quirk. He may not be my son. But by all the gods in both our worlds, I will protect this boy with my life. I took the boy, the letter and the stone and ran. I returned to my home and called my best friend 𝐻𝐿𝐵. I told her I found a miracle child. She was shocked to say the least and came over. I explained everything to her. She read the letter and we made a pact. No matter what, we will raise him to be strong. This boy is going to be the one to defeat whatever evil forces try to find him. We both knew since he was from a different world he may never develop a quirk. On our planet Earth, 80% of people are born with special powers called quirks. But the unfortunate 20% born without are ostracized and abused. To counter this, Mitsuki and I would ensure our boys are to grow up together. So if nothing else, they can protect each other. Time skip 4 years. I took Izuku to the quirk specialist, but I already knew he was to be quirkless. He was devastated by the diagnosis. On the way home, I took him to Masaru and Mitsuki's place. Mitsuki and I took him aside and explained to him, "Quirk or no Izuku, you will be strong. You will become a hero that outshines all, even All Might." Mitsuki, without a powerful quirk, was incredibly strong. She had powerful martial arts 𝐬𝐻𝐸s in all forms that were her friends. She vowed to teach him and make him strong. But he needed to promise never to fight for personal gain, only to protect and save others. Izuku, with that sun-like smile, was so happy. We would do as Dart and Shana would request. Izuku Feld Dragoon will be one unstoppable hero. Time skips 6 years. Izuku's POV. Hi. I am Izuku Feld Shimura and this is my story. I'll start by saying, I am quirkless. I have no superpower. But in the past 6 years, with my mother and aunt's help, I have gained a lot of strength. I am a MSTR of many fighting styles. For some reason it just comes naturally to me. Today I began my weapon styles training. I love my mother and auntie so much. But Auntie Mitsuki's son, who used to be my best friend, has become a big bully after finding out I have no quirk. He never fights me anymore after he tried to use his quirk on my friend and me when I went to protect her, and I beat him in a fight. This was when we were 6 years old. My friend was a girl named 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 𝗧𝗜𝗍. She had a zero-gravity quirk, which was awesome. She could, by touching something with all 5 pads on her fingers, take its gravity away. It's so versatile. But Katsuki thought she was weak and began beating her up. I got mad. I never get mad, but here was my friend beating up my other friend over something dumb. Following my vow to Aunt Mitsuki, I defended 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. I ran up and pushed Katsuki away. "Kaken, stop. Why are you hurting Oka?" Katsuki sneered at me and bragged about his supposed superiority. "You're no hero, Kakno Katsuki. Heroes don't beat up people who aren't doing anything bad. Oka did nothing. You just started beating her up. If you refuse to leave her alone, I will be your opponent. You attack me and we will never be friends again, do you hear me?" Katsuki stupidly charged in with his cronies, and in seconds I knocked them all senseless. I went to 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 and helped her up. "Oka, are you okay?" I asked as she cried and hugged me. "But why did he do that, Izu?" I held her and told her he is no longer a good person. Good people don't beat up innocent girls. I walked her to the teacher and told them what happened. But because I am quirkless, I got in trouble. Both Oka and I told the truth, but they called us liars. I got home that day and told Mom and Aunt Mitsuki what happened. Mitsuki called the 𝗧𝗓𝗏 family and forced Katsuki to apologize to them. Threatening to either apologize or he has to fight me again, he immediately apologized. They know she is a good mother, but that stupid boy refuses to listen. She tries her best, but Katsuki won't ever listen. After that I still did my training, but I never was friends with Katsuki again. 2 years later, Oka had to move away. We managed to keep in touch as our moms have each other's numbers. Today was my 10th birthday and I had just finished my call with Oka. I always love talking with her. She's so nice and kind. Not like others who are rude and mean to me. After the call though, I suddenly felt tired. I told Mom I was going to take a nap. I laid down and went to sleep. But that is when it first happens. I had a dream of a blonde swordsman in red armor and a brunette woman with a bow in white clothes. They told me they are Dart and Shana Feld. They told me I was their son, and with their guidance I will become the greatest dragoon of all, the ultimate dragoon. After explaining, a dragoon was a knight with the soul of a dragon. They then explained all the things about them. How they transform and gain powerful winged armor and weapons that make them immensely more powerful, and they gain magic and can even summon dragons. I was in awe at what I was told. After I woke up, I ran to Mother and told her. She smiled at me. "I guess it's time then, Izuku Feld. I need you to see something." She took me to her closet and opened a box. Inside was a brilliant rainbow stone and a letter. I read it and was blown away and saddened. But why did they have to die? I asked Mother. She hugged me and told me that evil attacked their world and it may make its way to ours. It's why I was quirkless, as I was not from Earth. But also that I will be the only one able to defeat these foes. She then called Mitsuki over and we explained what I saw. Mitsuki smiled at me. Little Izu, you're our savior if these entities ever arrive. We have much to teach you in just 4 years. By then you will be able to use the stone. I've made a necklace for it so you can keep it with you always. You say your dad was a swordsman, so we will make you the best swordsman. We will teach you how to wield many weapons. Then when it's time you will be prepared to take down these enemies. I smiled and thanked Mother and Aunt Mitsuki. Mother had asked me one day if I was upset for hiding these things from me. Never, Mother. Dart and Shana may be my biological parents, but you raised me, took care of me, taught me. You're just as much my mother as Aunt Mitsuki is Katsuki's. Never fear, Mother, I will always love you. Even more now as you fulfilled my parents' dying wish and made me strong and good. Mother smiled at this, tears in her eyes. Thank you, Izuku. You may not be my son by BLD, but for all intents and purposes you are my son. Time skip 4 years. Izuku's POV. Today was my 14th birthday. I have spent the past 4 years mastering every type of weapon I could. I'm now 5 feet 10 inches and roughly 185 pounds. Big for my age. I'm strong, but how strong I do not know. I still keep in contact with Oka and train with Auntie Mitsuki and her friends. I've learned the entirety of my parents' story. They were mighty heroes indeed, with many powerful friends that fought alongside them to protect their planet. After school today, Katsuki tried to beat up a new student, but boy was I surprised. That new student was Ochako. I rushed to her aid and threw Bakugo aside. I told you, Katsuki, you will never hurt anyone as long as I am here. Stop your villainous ways, you egomaniacal self-flagellating Pomeranian. Either he didn't understand my words or he didn't like them. As he charged at me, popping off explosions, but I easily dodged and with a simple roundhouse kick knocked him out. I sighed before going to Oka. I would say I'm glad to see you, Oka, but under these circumstances I think I'm so glad I could protect you. I said as Oka hugged me, tearing up. Hee, thank you, Knight Izuku. Sorry for surprising you like this. I smiled at her. It's fine, Oka. Hee, I'm so glad to finally see you again. It's been too long. She smiled at me as we started walking out of school. We took a new route as had to get to Oka's apartment and told stories of how our lives have been. We came to a fork and Oka had to head to her apartment and I went to mine. She gave me her new number and I gave her mine. We said our goodbyes and I ran home fast. Mother was so happy to hear about Oka moving here to attend UA. She needed me to head to the market to pick up some things as wanted to invite Oka here for my birthday. But fate is a mystery, it seems. As I rounded a corner, screams erupted down the street as well as explosions and vehicles were being thrown around. It was a villain attack. Right in front of the store I was supposed to go to. The villain was this huge sludge guy and apparently had someone held hostage. The heroes did nothing to stop it even though I could clearly see a way to do it. I looked on and in the sludge villain was Oka. I knew I had to do something but I had no weapons. Screw it, I ran in and had to dodge an attack. As I did I missed seeing the dumpster he had thrown and it slammed into me. But just as it hit me I heard a mystical sound ringing and my stone began to radiate rainbow lights. I was instantly healed and clad in green-winged armor with a spear. I knew immediately what happened and to counter his shock and suspense I flew through the villain and pulled Ochako out. I used magic to heal her and then sent a powerful magical wind attack that blasted the villain to bits. After rescuing Oka, heroes came up and tried to scold me, but then All Might himself defended me for my actions. He asked about my powers and I tell him the truth, I only just got this power when was hit by that dumpster. He was very impressed apparently and asked me to come to UA tomorrow. I said yes if I can bring Oka and my mother along. He agreed and I was content. After Oka was checked out by a paramedic and cleared of any illnesses or ill effects, we went back to my place as I had picked up what was needed after rescuing her and her being cleared to go. The three of us were celebrating the good news and my birthday when Mitsuki arrived. Having seen the news and hearing about me stopping Katsuki from bullying Oka, who she again begged for forgiveness from, but Oka was understanding. She knew Katsuki was raised better than that but chose to do that stuff anyway. We celebrated until it was time for me to 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽 to her apartment. This time I took her all the way there. To make sure nothing bad happened. We bid each other farewell and I began to make my way back home. I was happy, truly happy for what I did today. I smiled as I looked to the stars before walking home, thanking my parents for the amazing power they made and vowing to use it for good. Third-person POV after getting home. Izuku walked to his room to find his mom sitting down on his bed. Hi mom. She smiled at Izuku. There's my handsome dragon knight. How was the walk with Achiko? Izuku smiled. Oh, it was fine. No troubles or anything. Thankfully. Inko was glad to hear that. Come here Izuku, she said as Izuku walked over and sat next to her. What's up mom? She leaned against him. I am proud of you Izuku. Through everything you have become powerful. You are still humble even with all that power. You never once complained about anything since you started training. Nor did you ever use that strength to purposefully hurt or take advantage of others. I'm sure Dart and Shana would be very proud of how you've grown. Today you've unlocked the powers in that stone. So always use it wisely in the protection of others. She said as she took one of Izuku's arms and lifted it to place around her. If I was not the one to find you, I don't dare dream of what would have become of you in this world. Especially with you not having a quirk. Izuku listened to her words before speaking. True mother. I have seen what befalls the quirkless firsthand. Thankfully I'm strong, or I fear I'd have been victim to horrors most unimaginable. But I'm glad you were the one to find me and for Aunt Mitsuki for helping train me. Inko listened to his deep, gentle voice as he spoke. She always loved listening to him speak. She learned long ago he was much more intelligent than an average boy, far stronger too. Yet he was kind and gentle. He wouldn't hurt a soul unless they messed up and tried to harm someone. Then would the powerful warrior inside him bear down upon them. It's hard to believe it has been 14 years since I found you in that forest Izuku. I always get asked if you're really just a teenager. So many believe you are my age when they speak with you even with that innocent face of yours. She smiled at him. Well, it helps that I'm kind of smart and respectful to everyone. Inko laughed a bit. Kind of. Izuku, I've met many people in my time. I've never met any as intelligent as you are. You learn at a rate unheard of. You act far more mature than your years. You treat everyone fairly and equally. You're brave enough to stand up for others even when you are outnumbered. Yet gentle enough to not hurt a fly. You're honest, humble, and you always admit if you are wrong. Most people, if they had all that you have, strength and mind wise, would grow arrogant and cruel. Yet not you. Izuku chuckled. I've seen what happens when you become arrogant in Katsuki. It leads to one's downfall far more oft than their success. Besides, with a mother such as you, I'd never want to disappoint you. Inko giggled at that. I'm just me. I'm nobody special Izuku. Izuku smiled as he spoke. You may simply be you mother, but that makes you special. You're kind, caring, and you chose to raise me all on your own. You gave me a home full of love and cheer when others would have abandoned me in that forest to die. You never once doubted me and always treated me with kindness. You taught me to be honest and kind. You told me when I was very young, before the quirk analyst said I was quirkless, that I should always be respectful and polite to others, but also that if others prove to not be worthy of my respect, to not give it to them. It means the world to me to have you in my life, Izuku Shimura. To me you're incredibly special. A bright light in a world filled with darkness. That made Inko blush a lot. Really Izu? You think I'm someone special? Izuku smiled. You are. You may simply be a single mother to an adopted alien child like me, but that's what makes you special. You had the heart to do that without needing more than finding me in the woods and reading a letter. I know if that ex-husband of yours saw you now, he'd be kicking himself for casting you aside over such a silly matter. He wiped away a tear that had fallen from Inko's eye. Thank you Izuku. You're probably right. Granted, you are so very rarely wrong she said as she tackled him into a hug. Said Izuku as he hugged his mom. I don't know what I did to deserve you Izuku, said Inko before her eyes shot open. Whoa, that's huge, she said with a yelp and let go. Izuku sat up on his elbows. What's huge? He asked his crimson-red mom. She giggled nervously and pointed down. Feld is all she said. Izuku, still confused, looked down. Oh, see, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that to happen. He stuttered out nervously. Inko just shook her head. No, it's fine, Izuku. You are a teenage boy and it's only natural, hee. She said as she sat on the bed subconsciously rubbing her thighs. It may be, but it's still embarrassing. He shouted as he covered up. Anyway, I better let you get laid down, we have a long day ahead of us tomorrow. She said as she got up and left. Izuku sighed. Stupid hormones. He grumbled as he took his shirt off and changed into some shorts to lay down and get some sleep. He was once again met with visions of his parents in his dreams. Hey kiddo. Looks like you finally unlocked some of the power in that soul stone, said Dart, smiling at Izuku. I was able to use the Jade Dragoon spirit. I even rescued my friend Ichiko with it, Izuku said while beaming that sunshine-level smile. Well, glad you saved your girlfriend then, Izuku, said Shana as Izuku blushed. They spoke of how even though he has all the Dragoon's powers and forms, he needs to unlock each Dragoon. They even told him there were over a dozen forms, which was a surprise to him since he only remembered there being 8. Izuku, while we had only 8 spirits with us, we found many more. Rose had already passed on, or she could have made mention of the others. All we know is once you unlock them, we will gain the knowledge of each spirit and guide you to using their strength. Since you're the wielder of the ultimate Dragoon, we learned you have access to magic even out of Dragoon form. Every spell item we had you can use freely and even more. You even have some MullinLiam magic dwelling inside you. Use all these powers to aid you in the protection of your world and allies. Dart said as the parents look on with pride for their mighty son. We wish we could have watched you grow in person, Izuku. But all we can do is be your guides, thanks to Shana using her last bit of magic on this stone to seal our consciousness inside. Maybe one day we can meet in person again. They all smiled sadly at one another. I'll save this world and find a way back to yours to free it from their control. That's a promise to you both, father and mother, he said as his eyes burned with determination. They smiled, proud of their brave and powerful son. Inko couldn't get the feel of that out of her mind. It had been very long since she was last with a man, and feeling that huge thing harden against her body made her hot. She tossed and turned in bed, trying her best to get it out of her head, but she couldn't. Before long she was effing her beer with one hand as the other went inside her panties and rubbed as she Damn it, oh, why am I feeling this way? He's my son, she said as she played with herself. It only took a few minutes before she arched her back and muffled out for Izuku as her orgasm rocketed through her body in waves. I'm a terrible mother, she said after she calmed down from her 𝐶𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐴, disgusted with herself for what she had just done. She couldn't stand the fact she just masturbated while imagining her son her. The guilt and sadness soon took her into the dreaming world. As morning came and the light shined through the window on his face, Izuku woke up. Today he, his mother, and Ichiko would go to UA to see the staff and discuss his abilities and his actions. He smiled at the thought as he shut his eyes and absorbed the words his parents spoke the night prior. Before long, Inko had knocked on his door to see if he was awake. I'm up, Mom. Just gotta get dressed, then we can head to Oka's and then go to UA, he said as he stood up to change. Once clothed, he went to check on his mom, who smiled at him. Morning, Izuku. Did you sleep well? She asked as Izuku drank his juice. Yeah. I also learned more about my abilities. Watch this. He held out his hand and a appealing crystal blue rose formed in his hand. He gave it to his mom. I can do magic as well. I know a vast number of spells from the world I was born. Inko was in awe and held that appealing rose. Thank you, Izu, this is a wonderful gift, she said, blushing. He smiled and again held out his hand. That's not the only gift for you, mother. Here, grab my hand. She tentatively reached her hand out and was amazed as power began to flow into her. Whoa, what's happening, Izu? Izuku smiled at her. This gift, mother, is to help you. I gave you the power to produce magical barriers around you to help protect you in case something ever happens, as well as a few elemental and healing spells you can use to defend yourself. I wish I could have done more, but until I get more Dragoon forms to increase my powers, this is my current limit. Inko teared up. Even as powerful as you are, you still wish to protect your loved ones. Thank you, Izu. It means the world to me, she said as she wrapped him in a hug. You're always welcome. You may not be my 𝐵𝗚𝗧𝗟 mother, but I love you just as much. I'd be distraught if harm ever befell you. Inko smiled outwardly, but inwardly she was still struggling with her feelings and guilt for the actions of the prior night. She then yet again felt that hardened sword pressed into her stomach and blushed deep. She broke the hug and coughed. Ahem, well, we better head to 𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻 soon, he, she said as Izuku smiled. Yeah, I want to give her some magic as well. Then when we return, I'll grant Mistuki the same powers I gave you. You three are the only ones I have, so I can't let any of you get hurt if I've the power to prevent it. Inko giggled a bit. Don't you find it weird you only have female friends and loved ones? Izuku chuckled as he rubbed the back of his head. Nope, not really. After Uncle Masaru passed away, I just accepted the fact that you three are all I have left. But is it odd? Inko blushed a bit. Nope, but just don't get Oka pregnant for a while, he not ready to be a grandma just yet. Inko teased as Izuku went crimson. Mom, she's not my girlfriend. Inko laughed. He, it's fine, Izu, just teasing you. Now let's head out, she said with a giggle. 𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻's POV. I woke up pretty early as Izuku and Inko would come to pick me up and head to UA. Sigh, I wish I could get my feelings sorted out. All my life since I met him I've crushed for Izu. He's so brave and strong. Kind yet gentle and humble. He protects me and always cares about me. But I have to become a hero so I can support my family. It hurts. I yearn to be with him, but I can't. Not until I've fulfilled my promise to Mom and Dad. I got dressed and ready in my little bare apartment all alone. I sighed, but just then that familiar knock he used let me know Izu was here. Coming, I said as I went to the door and opened it to see the two smiling at me. Good morning, Oka, said Izu as I smiled at him, blushing from his million-watt smile. Hi, Izu. Hi, Inko. Good morning to you both. I let them in a bit embarrassed at my meager home. We talked for a bit before he winked at Inko and held out his hand to me. Oka, check this out. Grab my hand for a second. A bit nervous, I reached out and did as he asked and felt a huge rush of power flow into me. Well, what? I asked as they smiled. I have access to a lot of powers now, Oka. I gave you some barrier, elemental, and healing spells you can use to defend yourself and protect yourself. I did the same for Mother and will for Mitsuki too. I want the three of you to always stay safe and protected. I was floored. But how? I asked as they looked to one another and nodded. Well, Oka, you see, one explanation later and I was even more in awe at my mighty green friend. My word. That's amazing, Izuku, you just keep getting more and more awesome as the days pass. I said, and he giggled. I'm just me, Oka. But now you know the only secret I've had. I wish I could have said so sooner, but Inko and my 𝐵𝗚𝗧𝗟 parents wanted me to keep it secret until I unlocked a Dragoon form. I'm sorry for not telling you sooner, he said as he bowed. It's fine, Izuku. I understand. You needn't apologize. This just explains so very much about you now, though, I said as he stood up. Besides, why would I be upset about you protecting yourself? Izuku smiled as Inko let out a breath. Phew, thank goodness. We were afraid you'd be angry with Izuku. You definitely are girlfriend material, she said, teasing me as I turned into a balloon and floated up while deeply blushing. Izuku caught me and we made our way to UA. We waited after using the intercom to tell them we were here. A hobo-looking zombie with a scarf and black outfit arrived. On his shoulder was a fuzzy creature in a suit who spoke. You must be the ones All Might mentioned. I am Principal Nizu. This scruffy man is Shota Aizawa. Nice to meet you. I was a bit taken aback. Did the rat guy just talk? The hobo stifled a laugh. Oka, this is Nizu, he's a pro hero. He is a chimera with a quirk. The man is the pro hero Eraserhead. The two froze. Wait, how'd you know I was a hero? Asked Aizawa, but then Nizu began cackling. My word, you're the first to ever realize I was a chimera. Izuku then explained everything and who we were. At the mention of their surname, Nizu stopped for a moment. Shimura. As in former pro hero Nana Shimura. Inko froze. Yes, she was my mother. She had to give me up for adoption to protect me from someone. She died soon after, said a tearful Inko as Izuku held her hands. I never knew that about them, and from the look on Izuku's face neither did he. We went inside and met the rest of the staff. Midnight, Present Mike, Vlad King, Recovery Girl and more. Then to our shock All Might himself. After our introductions All Might looked at Inko and said tearfully, "I'm terribly sorry, Miss Shimura. I was trained by your mother. I was unable to keep her safe from the villain after her and you." Inko told him it wasn't his fault, as from what All Might said he hadn't yet become as powerful as he was now since was still a teen. Soon after we went to Nizu's office with Aizawa, Recovery Girl, and All Might. Izuku explained everything he knew about his powers and birthplace. The three were stunned to learn such things. Izuku's POV: after telling the three heroes everything, it was decided that they wanted to train me here, and then when the next semester starts I would be automatically in. I made a request that they do the same with Ochiko, and they agreed after I told them the magic I gifted her and she showed them. Oka was fine with it, but she asked if we should tell them about Katsuki. We looked to Mom and she nodded. We told them everything about him as we knew he was to try and get into UA. Aizawa looked very angry with what he learned. Why is he coddled by the schools? I sighed. Because he has a powerful quirk. The school wants to piggyback on his success. That really upset the pro heroes. Nizu, if that boy makes it into you, even if to redeem himself, that will make us look the same as them, you know that, right? Said All Might. Nizu sighed. You're right. We can have Tsukachi do an investigation of him and the school. Then depending on the punishment necessary we will either blacklist him from our hero course or all hero courses in Japan. I knew it would happen, so I wasn't all that concerned. That boy needs to learn his lesson. After an hour both Oka and myself got IDs to let us enter UA grounds and we left. Mom went back home as I took Oka back to her place. Wonder what his punishment will be? She asked. I smiled. To wear a cat costume since he is a Pomeranian. Oka and I both laughed hard at that. As we got to her place she looked at her feet. Thank you for being my friend, Izuku. Without you I don't think I'd have had the courage to try and be a hero. You're my best friend and my protector. I don't know what I would do without you. She was trembling a bit, so I hugged her. Oka, you are powerful and have that empathic heart. Even without me you'd be a hero, but know that I'm not going anywhere. Least not without you by my side. So take heart, goddess of gravity, your Jade Knight shall always be at your side to aid in your journey. I said after letting her go and doing a very exaggerated bow. Making her smile and giggle. Well, you better be, mister. Thank you, Aizu, for everything. You better head home or Inko will worry. She said, giving me a hug and heading inside. I smiled as I made my way back home. Together, Ochiko, we will become strong enough to protect this world from any danger. I'll always be there to help you, I said with conviction in my mind. I reached the door to my home. As I opened it, I was in for a shock. My mother with one hand in her shorts and one on her bum, my name as her back arched. Then my world went black as I fell forward. After an hour or so I finally regained consciousness as Inko looked both terrified and guilty. Izuku, glad you woke back up? She said as I looked around the room. Hi. I looked at her before his mind viewed the night's actions. I sigh as she began to try and explain. I won't lie. What you saw was exactly as it looked, Izuku. I sighed. So you were really Ma? Before I could finish my thought, Inko did so for me. Masturbating until orgasm while imagining you F me. I had to yank my consciousness back into my body as I turned neon red. That is was all I could say. Yes, genius I am. I'm AF moron. I froze up as my mind shattered. Once it reformed I spoke. Why imagine me? Inko sighed. Because you're the only man I like. You're smart, brave, kind, gentle, strong, respectful, etc., etc. You're a perfect gentleman who never lets people get away with their misdeeds. You treat me as if I truly am someone special and not just the woman who found you as a coincidence. You always protect myself and others. You brought back the smile I had lost so long ago. You always help me allay my fears and will truly take my words serious. You help me feel better about myself even when you yourself are depressed. For my birthdays and holidays you always go out of your way to make things yourself as opposed to just buy stuff. Then yesterday when we spoke and I felt that harden against my stomach, I couldn't get it out of my head. I've tried but it just refuses to leave my head. Inko spoke honestly and it made me very nervous. I did not know what to say or do. I really do apologize and hope that you could forgive me, Izuku. I sighed. I'm sorry to have seen that, Mom. You need not ask for my forgiveness. I can't get angered by what happened. Besides, we're not actually biologically related. Just was never expecting that to be happening. Inko sighed. She could tell I meant what I said, but she still felt guilty for what she'd done. It still makes me feel bad for doing that though, Izuku. Especially seeing as I'm your mother. I sighed and smiled at her. Don't worry about it, Mom. Whether it's unusual or not, I don't mind. If it makes you feel better, then it's not bad in my opinion, as you're not doing anything illegal or harmful to others. She was a bit surprised by this, to say the least. Doesn't it bother you? I shrugged. Not really. Besides, why should it bother me if my 𝐶𝐶 mom wants to do as such? It's fine by me, Mom. Though this does give me an idea for something I had planned for this coming July, 𝐻𝐻. I swear I could hear gears snapping under immense pressure as she looked blankly ahead. Oh, what's that, Izu? I smiled and pulled out my phone to show her how I had built a pretty successful business in the past year. I made a few investments and eventually started my own support gear company the year before called Dragatech. Then with the money made from that I designed a new home and partnered up with Uraraka Construction Company to build it near UA. The construction would be complete in July. Whoa, the designs of this place are amazing. 5 bedrooms and baths as well. Wait, are you suggesting we move there? I smiled at her and nodded, then spoke. Not just us, Mom, but Oka as well. Her parents kept the new contract secret, so she doesn't know anything about it. I was to surprise you with it upon finishing construction, but well, yeah. Figure now's as good a time as any to let you in on it. But I do have an idea for how the 3 of us can celebrate it when we move in. As I was gonna ask Oka to be my girlfriend soon. I may have an addendum in that. She knows me and you aren't truly related. So maybe you and her could talk about this with her. We both know how she feels about me. She's not that good at hiding her feelings, 𝐻𝐻. Mom was stunned to say the least. But what if she hates me for it? I smiled at her. Mom, it's Oka. She doesn't have it in her to hate anyone. If you both talk about your feelings, I'm sure it will not end badly. Besides, I have a feeling everything will work out. She looked at me nervously before she nodded and agreed. I smiled and we talked for a bit before we both went to our rooms and went to sleep. A few weeks passed and after training one day I went home and was met with both Mom and Achiko talking in the living room. Mom had on a white tank top and some shorts and Oka was wearing a jacket over a red shirt with a star on it and also had on some small shorts with her hair pulled back in a ponytail with the hair flared apart. This is a dream, right? 'Cause I see 2 gorgeous appealing babes looking fine. Both blushed a bit before taking some deep breaths and stood up. Izu, I have something to tell you, said Oka as I took off my shoes and closed the door. I walked up to her with a brow quirked. She looked very nervous, abd kiot glancing to Mom. I smiled as spoke. Izu, I'll like you. She shouts, whole her eyes are shut. Confused, I just say, I like you too, Oka. She blinks a bit before clarifying. And no, I mean I like you as more than a friend. I smiled at her. I know, and I like you more than a friend too. I have for quite some time actually. I just was wanting you to work your feelings out, I said with a small blush. She looked on blushing crimson before she looked to Inko. He told ya he liked you too, is all she said before I noticed Achiko's knees buckling a bit. I walk up pretty quick and catch her just as she started to fall a bit. Oof, gotcha. Phew, I knew you'd be surprised but didn't think you'd almost pass out. I said as I looked into her big chocolate eyes. Why, you mean it, Izu? She asked and I nodded. Yes, I mean it, Oka. I've always liked you a lot. The time spent apart only further increased my feelings for you. She was blushing as her mouth was open. I winked at her before saying, you know, there's always something I wanted to test out, Oka. I reached up and brushed the hair from her face before leaning in and kissing her on the lips. She melted into it immediately, and I felt this huge surge of energy within my body as I felt my gravity leave me while I kissed her soft strawberry lips. I floated about before we ended the kiss, and it had been roughly 4 minutes since we started the kiss. Oka was blushing wildly before she looked to Inko and nodded. Confused, I looked to Mom, and she was walking over as Oka stood up and sat on the couch. I raised a brow and looked at Mom, who stood right in front of me and tackled me into a hug. Oof, ow, son of a... Before I knew it, Mom was kissing me on the lips. It felt just as amazing as kissing Oka felt, but with her lips tasting like cherries. I melted in pretty quick and felt the world fall away to where only me and Inko existed in an endless galaxy. After a couple minutes, we ended the kiss. I was still stunned. Ah, what's happening? The two women smiled and giggled. Well, Izuku, we came to a sort of agreement. While Oka would be your GF and anything more, I am allowed to also do same things with you as she would. I blinked, then looked at Oka. Basically your mom has told me about how she's felt towards you. So I have no problem with you and her kissing, and or more, as we are still fairly young, I don't feel comfortable doing more than kissing and stuff with you for now. I nodded, then suddenly it struck me what she and Mom had agreed to. You mean SEC stuff? Both blushed and nodded. Yes, Izuku. But I do get to watch so I can learn how best to please you when I feel ready to do that stuff with you. I smiled and nodded. That seems pretty good to me. They both smiled at me, and for about an hour I took turns kissing both of them. We spent the better part of the day together and had dinner before it was time to take Oka to her place. We spent the walk hugging and talking about various things. I was surprised at how much calmer she seemed. You seem a lot more relaxed now, Oka. She smiled and nodded. Yeah. I've been very stressed about my feelings for you lately. Knowing you feel the same way helped relax me quite a bit. Now only stress I have is getting through the training and making it as a hero. I smiled as she spoke. Well, I definitely have faith in you, Achiko. Just take it one step at a time. I know you will be an amazing hero. As long as we both give it our all, we'll become pros. Just got to believe in yourself like I believe in you. She nodded and smiled at me. I'll definitely do my best. Especially with you by my side. We reached her doorstep, and after saying our farewells, we kissed again before I went home. He told ya I had a good feeling about things, Mom. I said when I got back and was sat next to Mom on the couch. I guess so. Although I was surprised at how accepting of it the both of you are. I laughed a bit. Well, in my case it's not that complex. I had a feeling Oka would be accepting of it, as she knows we aren't really related. Mom smiled at me before leaning in and kissing me again. It was definitely just as good as kissing Achiko. After a few minutes passed, we broke the kiss. Din, you're really good at that, I smiled at that. So are you. We stayed up talking for a while before heading to bed. I still have yet to unlock any new Dragoon forms, but I've completely mastered the Jade form and have progressed with my magic fairly well. Not sure how long it will take to unlock new forms, but I know I'll be gaining incredible power along with the rigorous training I'm put under. The day finally arrived and the new home was finished being built. My mom and I had fully moved in before Achiko arrived. She was astonished by the new home and asked how we could even afford that, as Mom was simply a nurse. I smiled widely and pulled out my phone and showed her the company I had built. She was in awe before I pulled out the contract I made with her parents' company to build this home, as well as a few other things. She was stunned. She started to tear up at that and hugged me. Her mind blown at that. This way you can focus on becoming the best hero you can be. Your parents will have the safe, easy life you wished of them. They never wanted you to feel like you owed them. She wept as she held me and just nodded. It was a few minutes before she settled down and we went to the apartment she was staying at to collect her things, bringing them back to the new place. She was truly happy that she could become a hero while her family weren't at risk of going bankrupt. That night we all sat together in the large den having a good housewarming. As the night wore on, though, Achiko and Mom had gotten an idea. They left the room for a bit before calling me to my room. Not thinking anything about it because I'm stupid, I hopped up and walked to my room only to find both standing in it in their bras and panties. So there I stood like a moron waiting on the reboot process to start. He told you he'd be surprised, Oka. Though I think we broke him, said Mom as she walked up and kissed me. It's easy to say that my brain was self-imploding from the surprise by two half-naked hotties and being kissed by half-naked mom. After I finally snapped back into control of myself and mom broke the kiss, I like a super genius said, "Why the huh? Totally nailed it right." Oka spoke next between giggles. "Well, your mom had an idea as a housewarming gift. She wants to do something special for you." I blinked a few times before I yelped as mom had pulled me to the bed and sat me by Oka, who was hugging me and kissing me on the neck. Mom looked up at me and told me, "Well, how would you like me to 𝐬𝐶K that monster dry Izu?" I blinked out for a moment while just subconsciously nodded. They had pulled my shorts down and I thought both were gonna faint as they were neon red. Looking at my 10-inch PP was standing at attention. "Holy Izu really has a monster in them shorts." "I thought you were joking, Inko," said Oka as the two were drooling as they looked at it. "Well, I knew he was big, but goddamn Izu, that thing's a beast. I think this may take more than my mouth to drain dry," said mom as she reached up with one hand and stroked me a bit before winking at Oka. She then stopped stroking to take her BU off, unleashing her large melons to the wild. They were amazing, a little pale due to no tanning, but her medium-sized areolas and nipples were perfectly placed. She grabbed one BRST and a bit as she returned to stroking me. I'm a bit before Oka kissed me again and took her own BR off too. She had milky white melons with small nipples and areolas that made her melons look even larger. I was amidst sensory overload from this before I felt two cushions on my PP. I looked back and mom had squeezed my PP between her melons and began to pump them up and down. "Ooh, that's so hot, Inko. How's it feel, Izu?" I groaned a bit before speaking. "Ooh, it's amazing. They are so soft, I wonder how yours would feel." Oka smiled before telling me that I can play with them. "Ooh, lucky Izu gets two hotties with big bub and one's about to 𝐬𝐶K him dry. Oka does have some amazing melons, huh?" I just nodded as I felt up Oka's amazing melons, making her too. Before I suddenly felt something warm and wet on my pages. I looked down and mom was liking my PP all over before she spit on it and started to take it in her mouth. "Oh god, that feels amazing, mom," I said as mom winked at me. She got about half of it in before she popped off of it to speak. You're way bigger than Hisashi ever was. Taste better too." Before starting back up as I am with Oka watching. Slowly she takes more and more of me until she gets all the way down to the base. "Oh, if that is amazing." She pulls off and stroked me a bit before Oka speaks. "Can I try that, Inko?" Mom smiles at us before she nods and gets on the bed beside me. Yes, Oka. "Hey Izu, wanna play with my tips?" I just nodded as Oka got down and started to take me in her mouth. She got about half of me in at first before she had to fight the GG reflex. "Oh, is it Oka, that feels great." She winks at me and starts to bob up and down on my pages. As this is going on, mom pulls my head into her melons and asks me to 𝐬𝐶K on them. A storm up as I kiss and lick her melons before I wrap my lips around one of her nipples and start to 𝐬𝐶K on it as I wiggle my tongue around it as it gets irked. "Ooh, that feels so good, Izu," said mom as thanks to Oka getting more and more of my PP in her mouth. Oka was using her tongue as well when she would take a good amount of my PP in before she would pull back only to repeat with more of my PP in her mouth. Before long I could feel my orgasm coming on. "I'm gonna come," I said as mom dropped down and knelt beside Achiko as they started to slide me. Both put their faces up close to my PP right as my PP blasted out cum, splashing both in the face and mouth. "Oh 𝐸𝐶𝐿, I shouted as they both swallowed what landed in their mouths. Then both of them began to lick the cum off the other's face before Oka got the remainder off my pages. Izu has some delicious cum, ha Oka?" Oka giggled and nodded. "Definitely. It's not machi, but it's DM close." After getting washed up, I laid in bed as mom had gone to her room. Only a few minutes later Oka had come back in. "I'm so shocked we did that, Izuku. But can I sleep next to you?" I just said yeah, and she climbed in bed next to me. We kissed each other goodnight and cuddled together as we started to fall asleep. A couple months have passed since then, and I was training in the Musutafu forest one day with Eraserhead when something odd had happened. We were sparring and suddenly a weird dark creature had appeared. It was roughly 6 feet tall and humanoid, but it was black as night with BLD red eyes and fanged teeth. It carried a sword in one hand and a weird book in the other. Both Aizawa and I were unnerved by this being that appeared. Ha! Finally we found you, son of Feld. We have been seeking a way to reach this world for 15 years. Soon it too shall fall to the might of Lord Trogak. I'll be rewarded handsomely for bringing your skull back with me. I looked at Aizawa and told him to get back. I used my jade form as the creature rushed me. I was able to deflect the blade. What I didn't expect, though, was the being was actually one of the higher-ranking ones, and my dragoon form was not making much progress. I tried hitting it with magic, which was dealing more damage to it, before the being opened the book and cast a powerful magical attack that sent me flying. I had taken severe damage and was having to heal. But my form had reverted due to the damage. I snarled as I cast magic to heal myself. Aizawa tried to help but was dispatched easily. But the being didn't even try to finish him, as he just made a beeline for me when suddenly my stone began to glow brightly. I activated it, and once the light died down I was wearing bright red armor and wielding 2 special katanas. I smiled. Well, seeing as I'm the son of Dart Feld, I am not surprised I get the red-eyed dragoon spirit, but surprised it gave me dual katanas. Well, whoever you are, get ready as imitate your butt down, I said as I lit the flames of my katanas and lunged forward, overwhelming the enemy before me. I don't know or care who Lord Trogak is, but you will not take my world. I roared before launching a flame shot right through the BSRD. He screamed in terror and pain as he launched his sword at me, which I deflected with my blades. The being had dropped the book as he ran into the woods to try extinguishing the flames. He made it only 30 feet before the flames took his life. I had picked up the book and cast some healing magic on Aizawa. Holy F, that thing was strong, kid. New dragoon form. I smiled at Aizawa. Yeah, this was my father's first one, the red-eyed dragon. It's fire-based as opposed to wind like the jade one. Each will have their own innate element. Aizawa smiled before he used his communicator to reach Nizu and explain what happened. We sat there after I dispelled my form. SHT is about to get weird, huh, problem child? I nodded, yes. If what's in this book is real, we are gonna need every dragoon form. I sighed as I looked out towards where the being came from. Shortly after, Nizu arrived and examined the body of the being we spoke, and I explained how I got a new dragoon form and with it was able to take the being down and save Aizawa. I told him what I have learned from the book that it carried. The beings were called 𝗏𝗏𝐵s, or Death Bringers. Led by a very powerful overlord Trogak Varingburst. They have taken several worlds and slain all those on said worlds. They begin by making deals with the most evil beings on the world they plan to take in order to learn more about the world, then build power before launching strikes against the most powerful beings on the planet and slaying them. If what I read is accurate, then this world is fated to be attacked by them. I must grow in power as fast as possible in order to counter the beings. Nizu ordered All Might to give me his story and explain everything. Holy CRP. Then the being who killed grandmother after she gifted you OFA was the same one who nearly killed you. Are you sure he's dead? All Might sighed. 6 years ago, after he wounded me, they were unable to recover his body. I know not if he was killed. I sighed as I used my most powerful healing magics on 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟𝗘. This will restore your full strength, All Might. We will need it if we must face the bringers of death, as I am not fool enough to believe I alone can take them all on. Toshi was happy to have full strength again, but smiled at me and asked, "Do we have the time to bring a 9th in to train them in order to face the bringers of death?" I smiled, knowing that a 9th would be even more powerful than him. Yes, but we first need to study the history of your predecessors, Toshi. I have a feeling we don't quite know everything about how the massive power would affect them. 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟𝗘 smiled. Understood. If the 3 of us work fast, we can find the full history of OFA. I smiled as we got to work. A few days later, and we disowned a fatal flaw in our plans. If OFA is given to a quirked person, the power would slowly kill them. I sighed at the new information we had, but All Might had 2 ideas. One, give me the quirk, but that would place further stress on me as I'd still be facing millions of enemies all alone. We quickly ruled that one out. So he laughed and suggested one, Melissa Shield. A quirkless girl who was the daughter of his former partner in heroics in America. We decided this would be our best shot. I chuckled. Shall we go there and get both her and her father and bring them to you? The two pros smiled at that and nodded. I can fly there in my dragoon form while you two call them and explain they're needed here. Toshi chuckled and nodded. He started the call while I transformed into my red-eyed dragoon form. Make it fast, young Feld. We need her to get the transfer as soon as possible to help us in our war against the bringers of death. I smiled bright. I'll have the two of them here within an hour. I texted Mom and Oka explaining I was needed to bring a pair of scientists to UA to bolster our defenses against the oncoming threat and would be gone for a couple hours. They told me to be careful and do what I could. Once Toshi learned the current location of Island and told me I took off. I'll never get over just how amazing it is to fly and how fast I can do as such. Luckily I was gifted special privileges by the Hero Commission due to Nizu and Toshinori explaining that it was necessary for my growth as a hero, and since I'm quirkless it counts as support gear. Not exactly a lie, but not the truth either. Anyway, I flew at incredible speed to Island and landed there even faster than I anticipated. I was met by the shields and explained who I was, and I was to be the one to take them to you. Wow, Shimura, you have an awesome quirk, said the bubbly blonde bombshell Melissa. I smiled as I blushed a bit. Oh, this isn't a quirk. Like you, I am also quirkless, Melissa. I'll explain on the way. First I must grab onto you both and carry you back to you, I said as I walked over and grabbed them up in an arm each. I quickly cast a barrier over the three of us so they wouldn't be affected by the temperature and speed. I began to tell my life story to them as I flew at even faster speeds to reach UA. To say they were surprised at my story would be an understatement. Once I landed and dispelled the barrier, they were both in the process of rebooting their brains. Toshi and Nizu also helped explain everything about myself and this new threat. Then Toshi told the shields his own true story he had hid from them. They were upset at him, but once I explained the reasons for why he kept it all a secret, they were a bit more understanding. I quickly gifted both of them magic before All Might made his plea to gift Melissa the quirk. But why me? I'm just a quirkless girl. I would not be a good choice, she said, doubting herself. I smiled at her. A Melissa, if I may. I'm just a quirkless boy, yet even I have grown powerful due to exterior forces. If I can do this with my power alone, I would, but the quirk needs a quirkless to work the most effectively. I can't take down the coming evils by myself. I will need many powerful allies to aid in this war. You are not just a quirkless girl, though. That confused her for a bit. She asked me what I meant and explained. One of my wingly powers is mind reading, Melissa. I read your mind the entire time we flew here. I know you're longing to help others and protect them. That's why you chose to be a builder of support gear. To protect and help as many as you can with what little power you possessed. OFA would be perfected in your hands. Especially with the magics I gave you. They will greatly help you in string said quirk faster than if any other person held it. With all of us here, we can make you even stronger than Toshi is. This will be needed in this coming war for Earth. Will the two of you allow us this request and help save our world together with us? Melissa and David talked for a bit, and I kept out of their minds as I didn't want to intrude on their conversation. After 30 minutes they came back and gave their answer. Yes, I will accept OFA. Papa said he will go back to the island and work on sending the best supplies he can to UA in an effort to build up the defenses here. He will also work on building things to help fortify other key places worldwide with the rest of Island scientists. We smiled and they began the training of number. I took David back to Island. Before heading back, he told me to keep his daughter safe. I smiled at him. David, I will not allow any harm to befall her if I can prevent it. She is key in defending this world. With the whole of UA and Island working together, we can prepare this world for the war. The bringers of death don't understand the hell they've wrought upon themselves by taking my world and trying to take this one. He smiled at my words and I flew back to UA. On the way I told Mom and Achiko to head there too. Once I returned, Mother and Achiko were both there introducing themselves to Melissa. Hi guys, I'm back, I said as I walked in 𝐶𝐿𝐴 the Dragoon form. We all spoke for a bit and Toshi asked that Melissa stay with me in order to keep her protected and train her with magics. We all agreed and had her father start sending her everything to store at our place and moved her into a room there. 4 weeks we trained her in all the magics I gave her as well as the new ones I gave Mother, Oka, and Mitsuki, who would occasionally stay over in order to help train Melissa in hand-to-hand. 3 months later Melissa was now gifted OFA, and like me and Oka, she was automatically to be accepted into UA Hero Course 1A once the time started for school. David kept his word as well. Both UA and I Island were now the most secure facilities on the planet, and he had begun sending the new equipment to every country around the world, as well as met with the top scientists worldwide to help everyone get increased defenses. I had fought several powerful bringers of death and unlocked the 𝐻𝗧𝗟𝗏 Dragoon spirit of my mother. The magics further increased, and newer healing capabilities whilst in battle helped me defeat all the foes I faced. I knew that it wasn't going to be easy if they found powerful allies here on Earth, but I was also not sure how many scouts had been sent. I did my best to MSTR each form, and Melissa was very powerful indeed. She has 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 up to 15% of OFA, which was excellent. We taught her every spell I could and explained how best to utilize OFA. She wanted to train in a sword and shield style of battle, and with her support gear she had made it so she could utilize 45% for a short time. Between everything it was clear she will be a force to be reckoned with even at the beginning of the school year. Oka and Inko accidentally let on about the relationship stuff to Melissa one day, which did make things a bit awkward as the three of us could see how she felt. I talked with her about it and could see she was a bit sad. I spoke to Mom and Oka about the situation, and they came to an agreement that she could be my second girlfriend and more later on, which confused me as now I felt like some corny BSTRD was controlling my life. Author-san, OFU ya stupid momph, narrator-san, stop breaking the fourth wall, but we can't afford to confuse the readers. The three of us spoke to her after they had come up with said agreement. Melissa, is it alright if the four of us have a talk real quick? Asked Inko. Oh, I guess so. Why Inko? Melissa asked, a bit confused. Well, Melissa, it's obvious how you feel about Izu here. In the past 3 months we have seen how you are feeling towards him. We also saw how the agreement Achiko and I have made you sad. So we wanted to offer you something instead. Melissa was bright red and stuttering a bit before Achiko spoke. It's not a problem if you become his girlfriend too, Melissa. I just sat there blinking and not dumb enough to interrupt, as kind of scared of what I'd say. Melissa was currently rebooting as her eyes flitted around before she took a deep breath. But you're his girlfriend. I mean, I know you and Inko both do stuff with him, but how can you just add me into it? I steeled my nerves and spoke next. Melissa, if they're both okay with it as am I, then it won't really cause any problems. That is if you're willing to share alongside them. Inko is not my GF, just Achiko at present, and the two of them handle it with grace. If you feel the same as they do, then why not you become my second girlfriend? She was nervous and shifting her feet. But what if Papa finds out? Sure, he would not agree to this. I smiled at her and pulled out the note David gave me upon the last time I visited him with Melissa. Don't be so sure, Melissa. Your father gave me this as he too saw how you felt. You should read it before giving an answer. After reading it, she was shocked. See, her father felt that she would never find someone who was willing to accept her for her past and quirk status. He felt I was the perfect match for her and had zero problems with things, as he knew about my agreement with both Inko and Achiko. But he was accepting of it since he knew I was essentially an alien and not BLD tied to anyone on Earth. He really doesn't mind. But what? I thought he'd be angry or something, said Melissa as I spoke. Because his love for you and his worries about your past being quirkless, he was afraid you'd never find someone for you. He also saw how you felt for me and vice versa. Melissa, I'd never agreed with Achiko and Inko if I had no feelings towards you. They saw it as did your father. But I think I have a better offer than just having two GFS and Inko. I'd like to, if all parties are willing to accept it, marry the two of you after school starts. Both you and Achiko. We can work through things until then. I like you way more than just as a friend. It's clear you feel the same way. She sighed and looked at each of us. Is it really okay? Mother and Achiko both smiled and nodded, as they had already had time to process this deal I'm proposing, as we spoke of it a month ago when Melissa found out. We don't mind at all. Besides, I would love to be your sister wife to our dragoon here. Plus he has, let's just say, too much stamina for just the two of us to handle. You with OFA and the two of us together would be enough to handle him. He besides his 10-inch monster is divine Mel. Said Ochako as Inko, Melissa and I each turned crimson. Thanks Oka. I said embarrassed. Melissa thought on it for a bit and nodded. But I'm not ready for SC yet, just so you three know. I smiled as I spoke. That's fine by me, goddess of tech, as technically other than we three haven't had CC together yet either. That kind of surprised her as she figured I was actively having AC with both of them. She smiled at that and came over to me as the two others nodded. She sat on my lap as she took her glasses off and leaned forward to kiss me. Our lips met and it was as if a hellfire were lit and exploded through the universe caused from the heat and passion of the kiss. After a few minutes we broke the kiss as she looked at me nervously. Whoa Melissa, you're as amazing a kisser as Oka and Inko. I said stunned. Melissa smiled at that and hugged me. Thanks Izuku. To be honest, that was my first kiss. So I'm glad you enjoyed it too. She giggled out. The two others sat on each side of me and kissed me too. After about 30 minutes or so we finally finished and all sat together and ate dinner. That night both Melissa and Ochako laid in bed with me. We spent the time before sleep talking with one another. I'm surprised you're willing to share him so much, Ochako, said Melissa, making Ochako and myself chuckle. Well, I love him and I know the two of you do too. I'd feel bad if I made the two of you go through life alone because you couldn't enjoy being with him too, said Oka as I smiled. Plus, she could see how I feel about the three of you as well. Oka smirked at that. I wasn't gonna say that part, meaning. Phew. Though I'm still excited being with the man I love. So I figure the two of you will be also. Although not gonna lie, I can't wait for the three of us to be married in a few months, she said as the three of us all blushed. Yeah, that will be awesome, said Melissa with a giggle. Before long we fell asleep and I was visited by my parents once more. They were happy for me and glad to hear that they soon will have 2 daughter-in-laws. You know, that's actually not much different than how things work in most countries on our world, chuckled father as I blushed. Wait, does that mean? They both shook their heads. No Izuku, we were only with each other. Though I am glad you found 2 girls willing to love you and become your wives who seem to not hate or feel jealous of the other. Inko as well, 3 girls for our baby boy. That's awesome, Isa, just make sure you name the kids after us, said mother with a wink as I was struck in the soul by that. I don't think I'm ready to be a dad yet. Father chuckled at my embarrassment. It'd be fine. We're sure Inko wouldn't mind having your kid, you know. So, if you do have kids, try with her first, not the 2 teen girls, he said with a laugh as I slouched down sighing. You two are enjoying this, aren't you? They both nodded as they had eating grins. Fine, I'll do that, but I'll wait. I'm not even ready for SEC yet, let alone to have kids. I grumbled out as I bid goodnight to my parents and left the mindscape. 4 months have passed since that day and Melissa can now use 50% of OFA and has begun unlocking the other wielder's powers. Currently she could use Black Whip, Fly as Float Evolved, Smokescreen, Danger Sense, and FA Gene. She still has trouble controlling them, but it's a start. She is as powerful as All Might was after his injury. With her support gear she now could utilize 100% for short bursts. I have unlocked 2 more Dragoon forms. The Dark Dragoon and Violet Dragoon. I now had 5 fully 𝐶𝐿 Dragoon forms and each vastly more powerful than the ones my predecessors wielded. In 2 months' time school will begin. We trained at Dagobah Beach for the next 2 months and cleaned it. Once we finished I had yet to unlock a 6th form, but Melissa was up to 60% OFA and Ochako had surpassed all expectations, now able to keep up to 12 tons weightless for several minutes. Her and Melissa were becoming amazing fighters as well. Melissa also had with my help created support gear for Oka to allow her to mimic flight while weightless and gave her several wires to help her in battle. On top of that we all had mastery of magic. Mine was far stronger than theirs, but they were no slouches. The day before the entrance exams Ochako, Melissa, and I were married. The entire UA staff, Inko, Mitsuki, David, and the Urarakas were there for the ceremony. I gave all of them the magics I could as sort of countermeasures for in case the growing forces of the Bringers of Death attacked them. While they could defend themselves from them, they would still require aid. But this way they could handle themselves in battle if necessary. In the past 6 months, I alongside Melissa and 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 have slain hundreds of bringers of death, so we began to talk with the top 100 heroes in various countries and the International Hero Commission, and I begun gifting them all magics to aid in their fights in the coming war. We heard reports of them appearing in major countries, and with David's assistance they had slowly taken out the enemies. After the entrance exams and school began, I was asked to gift the magics to everyone in all 3 years of hero courses. I did as requested for all save a Grape, Electric Boy, and Copy Kid in 1A and 1B, as they weren't heroes in my eyes. This bolstered the forces in UA by a huge number, and we slowly taught them all the magic. We were all prepared for war to break out at any time. Who knew it would come so much sooner than we all anticipated? After the gifting of magics to all the students I felt deserved magics in UA and getting home for the day, I was messaged by Mitsuki. Not much to it, she just wanted me to come to her place and help her with something. Not wanting to be rude, I accepted and explained to Inko, Oka, and Melissa. They waved me off and I flee to Mitsuki's house. However, I was not prepared for what I would find. I reached the house, and as I stepped to the door and knocked, the door was partially opened. Confused, I examined the situation. The door was kicked in. I summoned my red-eyed dragoon form and stepped inside. Blades at the ready, I made my way through the home. Clear evidence of a struggle had taken place. I rushed through every room and found in the 𝐴𝐻 bedroom a note. In Katsuki's writing. I read it and grew incredibly furious. He had sided with not only AFO but the Bringers of Death as well. They took Mitsuki and are holding her hostage in 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 ward. Worst is if I contact anyone or even do anything but head straight to 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 ward, they'll have Katsuki himself do unspeakable things to her. My memories of my vow to Mitsuki flashed through my mind. Never let harm befall women when you have the power to prevent it. FO, Bringers of Death, Katsuki, anyone else who dares harm Mitsuki will face my wrath. I snarled out as I flew out the window in a fury I've not felt before. I flew as fast as possible to the location AF Bioweapons Factory in the warehouse district. I crashed down in front of the door. Once more I must face Katsuki Bakugo in battle, and this may very well be his last, as I'm tired of his horseshit. I kicked the doors with all my strength, blasting them through the building. So he has come. Welcome, 9th wielder Izuku Feld Shimura, grandson of the 7th Nana Shimura. Welcome to your fated demise. I heard spoken through the building's intercom systems. I smiled at his stupidity as I took a deep breath. Sorry to disappoint you all for one, but I'm not the 9th. I'm just a quirkless scrub. Isn't that right, 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 𝗀𝐻𝐿? I roared in a rage as I saw before me several tanks with various bodies of monsters in a strange liquid. Deku. I warned you I'd always put you in your F place, you quirkless freak. I heard the familiar rage-fueled prick shout into the intercom. Big talk from a beta bottom beach who never once bested me in battle. I yelled as I began charging my flames and shooting them all around the room, destroying the tanks and monstrous beasts within them. As if that was a starter's pistol, a sudden wave of them and Bringers of Death poured into the room. I smiled as I looked on at the foolish beings who dare try to take my life. Sorry, assholes, but you guys are an example of utter futility in action. I growl out, summoning the very red-eyed dragon to the massive room, and in one cataclysmic attack it melted everything in the room itself as it turned the enemies into mere ash. What? How the F did you do that, Deku? I heard the Pomeranian bark out. Not even responding, I flew through the doors leading to the basement, as I thought they had many reinforcements waiting below. I slew all the Bringers of Death and bioweapons in my path. In under 5 minutes, I stood at the final door. I smiled and opened it to find Katsuki and Mitsuki. Mitsuki was beat up and her clothes torn. I leaked powerful waves of killer intent towards Katsuki. Pomeranian, where is AFO? Did he flee and leave you here to suffer my wrath for your attack on Mitsuki? Sorry, boy, but for attacking your mother, threatening to RPE her, and aiding villains from 2 worlds. You're mine to destroy utterly. I bellowed at him as he shivered with shaky knees. I don't need them to be beat, you quirkless freak. He snarled out while stuttering up a storm. Oh really? When have you ever taken me in a fight, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫? He groaned as the intercom system kicked in. Sorry, Izuku Shimura, but you won't ever find us even if that boy fails to beat you. Why would we deign to grace you with our presence? Good luck, said AFO in a growl. I could tell he ran away after my display of might and realizing I could kill him and he can't steal my power. Well, the big boss was a coward and fled. Now 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 come at me. I roared and he flinched, swallowing the lump in his throat before smirking and rushing me. He got within 3 feet of me and I smiled as I blasted him in the face with a right cross from hell, knocking him out instantly. Sigh. As anticlimactic as ever, mut. I growl as I walked to the wounded Mitsuki and heal her before tearing off her bonds. Aizu. Thank God you came, she said through teary eyes and sobs, hugging me as she wept. How could I not when you taught me how a hero should act? I'll always be here when you need me most, Mitsuki, I said as I hugged her. After a minute goes by and she calms down, she explains what happened. I get furious as she tells her story. Those weird bioweapons were once people. FO and the bringers of death had performed horrendous acts of perverse science on them to fuse several quirks and magics together in an effort to kill All Might and myself, as they were under the misguided idea that I was number 9. I sigh as I send the info to Yue and Tsukachi, telling them I'll handle the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 problem myself, and was taking him and Mitsuki to my home to calm her down and get what info I can from the MUT. Mitsuki, you and the MUT are coming with me. The heroes and police will examine all the evidence here, but I feel a special punishment is in store for the brat. She nodded as she was still in shock at what her own kid wanted to do to her. I grabbed the MUT and carried Mitsuki as I flew us to my home. Once we get there, I revert to base form and explain to the girls everything that happened. They hug and comfort Mitsuki as I grab a chair and set the MUT in it. If not for Izuku, I would. Mitsuki stuttered as I turned to her and smiled. As if I'd allow that MUT to RP my gorgeous CC auntie that I love. I say as the girls giggle, making Mitsuki blush from the honest feelings I spoke. What? She stammered after a second. I sigh and tell her not only my feelings but also the deal I have with Mom, Oka and Melissa. She knew Melissa and Oka were my wives, but she was a hawk to learn that I do the same with Inko as I do with them. None of us had SEC together yet, but she bout had a heart attack when they went into very vivid detail about the stuff we have done. I knew he had the 2 girls, but definitely didn't know he was also doing SEC stuff with you, Inko, she said once she calmed down. Well, I'm as surprised as you, as I never figured he'd be okay with it either. Though not gonna lie. Can't wait to ride that 10-inch dragon. Mitsuki went wide-eyed as her mouth dropped open. 10 inches. He's really that big. I chuckled as I read the thoughts of all 4 women and said, well, like I have always said, it's up to Oka. Wouldn't mind adding her to the MLF part of things, Granted, also wouldn't mind having 4 wives instead of 2 if it's you 4. The girls all remember I can read minds after their brains finished rebooting. Well, DMN. Not gonna even try to lie and say I never thought about it, said a crimson Mitsuki. Oka and the other 3 women discussed things as I turned back towards 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Here's the new arrangement then. You and Inko can choose to decide whether to opt in on the marriage or not, but either way we don't mind if you do that with Izuku. Plus we know Inko wants to try having his kids, so I'm sure Mitsuki wouldn't mind having a kid with Izuku too. Least better odds of 𝐶harm turning out good, said Oka as all 4 blushed like crazy. I smile and say I'm down for that if Mitsuki is making her smile. I then tell them my plan for what to do with 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Mitsuki smirks as she sits on my lap, grinding her perfect but on my pages. Well, long as it's you, Izuku, I don't mind sharing, she says as I smile bright, then look to Mom and tell her to wake the MUT. The 3 others are sitting on the couch with me as Mitsuki sits in my lap. Inko smirks as she uses a lightning spell to zap the MUT awake. What? Deku. He roars some more before Mitsuki glares at him. That's daddy to you, useless brat. Stopping the MUT's yipping immediately. Daddy. What? Why are you in his lap, hag? He snarls out with the funniest confused face I've ever seen. What is it wrong for a wife to sit in her husband's lap? She asks with a cruel smirk. The mutt's brain is slow, so it takes a bit before it clicks. I sigh and look into Mitsuki's eyes as I lean in and kiss her on the lips. Her eyes go wide for a second before she and melts into the kiss. All the while the mutt's frothing at the mouth, though I'm on cloud 9 with Mitsu from the amazingness of her kiss. She grinds her thick butt on my hardened pee-pee, eliciting emness from me. Inko smirks at Katsuki before smiling wickedly. Didn't you know, mutt, that the 4 of us are Izuku's wives? Katsuki brain literally exploded from that. Suddenly he shouts out no way his CC auntie would marry her own kid as Mitsuki and I break our kiss. Yes. Your kisses always get better and better every time we kiss. Should we tell him about the thousands of times we have honey? Mitsuki asks me as the 3 others, and I smirk at the furious raging mutt. Katsuki. A few things you need to know, doggy. 1, I'm his adopted mother. 2, he is a real man. 3, you F up by 𝐿𝐿𝐺 his wife's tips and butt and jerking off onto her feet while she was held hostage by you. Snarled an irate Inko. Yeah, you sick F. At least Inko is not biologically related to Izuku. You're my own goddamn kid, you little 2-inch having punk. Roared Mitsuki as we watch Katsuki flinch. Melissa and Achiko smirk at the mutt. Oka wanna help me stir the mutt to prep him for his punishment? Asks Melissa as Katsuki goes wide-eyed at that. AVMEFF4W. He stammers out. I glare at the dog and say to him, well, you wanted to RP Mitsuki, so I got permission from the HPSC and Nizu to allow for your RP. He yelps as suddenly Oka uses her quirk on him before she and Melissa char off his clothes and burn the F out of him. He whimpers as I sigh and heal his wounds. Please, Didekadi, don't let them argue me. He begged as the girls chuckled. Do you see any DLDS, Katsuki? Asked Mitsuki as she gets off me, revealing she had pulled off my breathes and boxers. Oh dear God, no. Howls the mutt? I stand up as Mitsuki strokes me until I'm hard as steel. Holy F, you definitely are 10 inches. She whispers as I stifle a He get ready for his diamond hard pee-pee down your throat and up your butt, Katsuki. Snarls Inko with a smile as I sit back down and use telekinesis to pull Katsuki towards us. Once he's close, Melissa and Mitsuki grab an arm in a death grip as Achiko yanks his head up by his hair before Inko gets behind him and barks out, on your knees, beach. As she kicks the F out of his tiny pee-pee, dropping him to his knees as he howls in pain. As soon as his mouth is wide open, I smirk as the girls shove his face forward, forcing him to take my whole pee-pee down his throat at once. He GGS as he whimpers. Men not even a tenth as good as the 4 of you girls are at sking me off. Now doggy, start sking and don't even think of biting down or I'll castrate you. Remember, I am a mind reader, Katsuki. I say as his eyes fill with tears before he starts bobbing up and down on my pages. The girls all let go and the dog crawls closer on his knees. They sit down as each are getting turned on. Keep going, mutt. When I come, you better not even spill a F drop. You're gonna swallow it all, understand? I order and he nods, itchin'. He tries to respond as he goes faster. Mitsuki pulls my head to the side and kisses me deep as Katsuki puts in the work. After breaking her kiss, I smirk. Well, I don't mind if you girls want to try it. I say, confusing the mutt. Before all 4 get to undressing. I smirk at Katsuki as the girls are getting naked. What are you that turned on by sking your daddy's pages? I ask as the 4 stop, only to look down and see his tiny pee-pee hard as he strokes it. He speeds up before popping off my pages. Yes, daddy. He shouts as the girls snicker and he starts sking me again. I watch as the 2 smoking hot blondes get undressed, revealing their pale massive tips to the world. Mitsuki's E's and Melissa's E's both have small nipples, but Mitsuki has medium areola as opposed to Melissa's small areola. Melissa has a completely shaven pee-pee and smaller butt than Mitsuki, but not much smaller. Mitsuki has a well-trimmed blonde bush. Mitsuki and Inko sit on either side of me and each kiss me as they have me rub their wet, juicy pussies. They mem from the kisses and pee-pee play. Demon, that's hot as F Haoka. Asks Mel as her and Achiko are on the cushion beside Inko. Yeah, they definitely want him inside them. It's also hot watching how much a sissy the barking mad Pomeranian turned out to be. says Oka as the two smirk and no. I take my hands and insert the middle and index fingers on each hand inside them, making them even more. Katsuki keeps sking me as he plays with himself. Izuku that feels so good. Miss Inko as her and Mitsuki each are shoving their pussies down on my fingers. Holy shit, you're so good with your fingers, Izuku, says Mitsuki as they're both breathing heavier. After a few more minutes, the both of them arch their backs and scream my name as they fondle their melons. Fuck Izuku, screamed Inko as she 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Holy shit, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, yelled Mitsuki through hers. Even Katsuki on my PP as he spurted. Oka and Melissa are rubbing their pussies as they watch all the while. Mitsuki and Inko both are breathing ragged as they lean against me. God dimmin', that was the best orgasm of my life, Inko. How about you? Asked Mitsuki as mom just grunted yeah. I smirked before I say. Well, since Katsuki can't elicit me to come with his mouth, what say we make him ride my PP raw no lube? I ask as all four women cackle then yell, yes. As Katsuki whimpers and tries to SCK faster before Oka stands up and cancels his gravity, prying him of my pages. Please no. I promise I can make daddy come from sking his big pages. Please, I'm not ready for see yet, daddy. He shouts as we all laugh before I glare at him. I'm sorry, but when did I say you get a choice in anything, mutt? He whimpers as Oka and Melissa put his face on the floor in his puddle of cum. First you made a mess, you 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Clean it up with your tongue. Then get ready to take daddy's PP up your butt, says Melissa with a smirk. He jias a bit as he laps up his tiny puddle of cum from the floor. After he finished, Melissa positions Katsuki's feet on my knees as Oka returns his gravity, then she pushes him down until I'm resting against the mutt's butt. I reach up and grip each of his shoulders. He keeps begging us to stop, but we had enough of his SHT for 10 lifetimes. What? Oops. I ask before forcing him down on my PP all the way to the base as he screams in pain while his PP gets hard again. Mitsuki and Inko both cackling. Ha, the sissy got hard again even though was begging to stop. Told you he was a true bottom, Izuku, says Mitsuki as Katsuki starts bouncing up and down on my PPM like a beach in heat. Yeah, you're right about that, Mitsu. Hee though I'd rather be in any of you four's buttes than his. I said as he whimpers. I'll make daddy come so daddy will never stop my butt. He says all in a huff as the four women cackle at him. Yeah, good luck with that little girl, says Oka as I smirk when a thought comes to me. Hey Oka. How about you and Melissa start making out? I ask as the two turn crimson as Mitsuki and Inko smirk. Yeah, that'd be hot, Oka, says Inko as she gets up and sits down beside Mitsuki. Yeah. You two both thought about it before, so sit by me and make out, That would be super hot. The two go wide-eyed and look at each other. You thought so too. They shout in unison as they point to each other before nodding and sitting beside me. Katsuki as he rides faster trying to make me come. Mitsuki and Inko smirk as they start to kiss and fondle each other's melons the whole time. Mommy is into our girls, asks Katsuki as he bounces. She's bisexual just like Inko, genius. How did you not know that? I deadpan. He shakes his head as I lift him up and start slamming my PP harder up his butt, making him and yelp more. Oh daddy, ye's F me. He shouts out as Oka and Melissa start to calm down. I guess if we both thought it, Melissa, I won't mind trying, said Oka as the two slowly lean in and kiss. Both as they wrap their arms around each other. The four girls definitely are hotter than hellfire. I smirk as I grab Katsuki and stand up, turning around. I push him down face first into the couch as I power F his butt, making him scream, and I'm in awe watching the four girls make out and play with each other's melons. Mitsuki and Inko smile at me before moving a hand down on each other and start to finger each other's holes as they make some more even louder. But yes. So hot watching two CCMFS fingerbang one another. I am them out as Oka and Melissa stop making out to watch. Holy F, that's hot, says Oka as the two versions' thoughts are to try it. Oh, if you all want to try that, it's be best to wait until I've popped your cherries. I am out-turned on like crazy from my 4 CC goddesses as I slam into Katsuki harder than ever. He's trying to him like a girl, which is hilarious but breaking my concentration. They nod, but while they start making out again I smirk. Though you two are rubbing each other's pussies, would still be hot to watch. I suggest, and they stop kissing to smirk at me and each reach down and start to rub each other's pussies, amazed at how wet they are. Their m's get loud enough to match Inko and Mitsuki, and for the next 8 minutes the 4 women keep going until all 4 have had an orgasm. Finally, after 15 minutes, I pull out of Katsuki and shove his face towards my PP as he starts skinning me off again. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐴 swallow every drop. I grunt out as I hold his head in place with my PP all the way inside his throat. He is loud as I start shooting reams of cum down his throat as he swallows 3 mouthfuls worth of seed. The 4 girls all breathing heavy laugh as after I pull out of his mouth Katsuki masturbates until he covers himself in his own cum. Yes, Daddy Izuku. He shouts as he spurts. The girls all stand up. You must have really crushed for Izuku for years, ha Katsuki? Asks Mitsuki as Katsuki nods with his tongue out. So all the years of trying to fight him and even the times you attacked me were from you being jealous of me? Asks an angry Achiko. Why's? Be because Daddy Izuku loved you and not me. He stutters out. Inko smirks as her and Melissa both grab him by an arm. Well, dirty girls need to clean themselves up. Let's go, Missy. Snarls Inko as Melissa and her take him to the bathroom, with Oka, Mitsuki, and me walking not far behind. We get there, and as I thought, he's on his knees with his mouth forced open as they waited for us to get inside. Well, she was complaining about still being thirsty, so figured you could help her, Izuku. Growls Melissa, and I smirk as I say, well, if she's still thirsty, I guess she can have some of my lemonade. Making Mitsuki and Oka burst out laughing hard. Ha, if yes, make him drink it all up, shouted Mitsuki as she held her ribs. I step towards Katsuki and point my PP at his mouth. You hear your mother. Better not complain after about still being thirsty. I say as I start pissing in his mouth. Katsuki is wide-eyed as tears start streaming down. You heard, Daddy Izuku. Drink up mutt. Orders Oka as Katsuki shuts his eyes and starts to swallow all my urine. Once I've finished, they let him go. Now, little missy, I expect you to clean yourself up and stay put until I tell you what comes next. I say as Katsuki nods vigorously. I stand at the door as the girls each go get dressed before Melissa takes over as I head to another bathroom and shower. Soon as I finish and get on some board shorts, I head back to see Katsuki has cleaned himself and the bathroom up. Very good. Now this can go one of 2 ways, Katsuki. I say as the 4 women all stand behind me glaring daggers at the naked mutt. You can agree to never again disrespect any of us. To work here as our maid and do anything I request of you. I literally mean anything. No matter what I request, you will do it. If we have a bunch of dudes over and tell you to service every PP until they come, you're doing it. If I tell you to dress in a salty maid's outfit, you're wearing it. I tell you to clean a certain way, you will only clean that way. I ask for info on AFO. You will tell me. I ask about the bringers of death. You will tell me. Literally anything. Do you understand? He nods again, but before I let him speak. The other way is you refuse and still have to do all that. Only we will actively use our magics and quirks on you until you're almost dead, then we heal you and continue. You feel me? He goes wide-eyed and shivers. Why yes, Izuku. He yelps out. Good, which way will it be? He goes to answer, but before he does he blushes. If I do the easy way, will you also be one of them to F me, daddy? The girls all cackle like crazy. F hell Izu, he definitely fell in love with you and your monster pages. Says Mitsuki as I sigh. Thanks, I think Mitsuki. Not having expected Katsuki would request that. I hold up my hand to tell him to hold on as the girls and I discuss it. Well, if we're making him do all that, it would make me feel a little bad if we don't throw him a bone every now and then, Izuku. Says Oka with a pout. Melissa nods in agreement. Yeah. As much as I hate how my kid treated you and Izuku, he's still my kid. If he is willing to do all that, I think you have to be willing to help him release stress too. Right. Said Mitsuki before Inko finishes it. Right. We're not saying you have to play with his PP ever, but maybe let him SCK you and ride you. This is the only way he won't be out into Tartarus for life or given a death sentence. Much as I despise his quirkless, there was a time he was your best friend Izu. I groan as they each did bring up some good points. Question Mutt. Would you be fine just being my fuckhole when I want you to SCK my PP or ride it? I ask as we all look at him and he's blushing. Would. I know you aren't into men Izuku, it's obvious with how you are with the four of them. You only did this as punishment to me for my ignorance, hate, and villainous actions. Even if you never play with my PP I won't mind. As long as I can service you and your monster I would do all you request of me. He says, surprising the four women. Yeah, much as I hate the mutt for what he's done girls, that was him speaking honestly. Fine. As long as you do as requested. Don't expect the four of us to go easy on you just for that though, mutt. You have many years and actions to atone for. This way you can be of use. As even though I despise what you've done for the majority of our lives, I know if you got arrested you'd be killed for siding with those who wish to conquer this planet. Know this though, we will protect you from them as long as you fulfill your end. Understood, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. I stare directly into his eyes and for the first time in years he smiles genuinely. I promise to hold up my end, daddy. He says as we all break even himself from that. Well, I guess I don't mind, but you also gotta call these four mommy. Not hag round face etc. but mommy. He nods and smiles as Oka grabs some of my old clothes. Here until we get your new attire, Katsuki, this is what you will wear to stay decent. He smiles brightly at her. Thank you, mommy Achiko. He says as she chuckles and we head back to the couch as he gets changed. Phew. So that happened, says Melissa as we reach the couch. We all blink as we look at her then each other and all bust a gut laughing. Yes Mel. Yes it did. Hee though tomorrow we're getting Inko and Mitsuki added to the marriage. They've been thinking it the whole time we did all that. I said as the two bear hug me and each kiss me deep. Oh thank you Izuku. I know you knew I wanted to marry you along just them, but again I got in my own head when I should have just asked. Sorry I'm so worrisome, said Inko as we all giggled hugging her. Yeah Izu. I know you have known my thoughts for you since you unlocked mind reading, but you never brought it up. I chuckled as did the other three. Well, as with me and Inko, Izuku wanted us to work our emotions out and decide, but just like with Melissa his hand was a bit forced. Says Achiko as Mel goes beet red. Oka. Come on, why you throw me under the bus like that? Squealed Melissa as the rest of us chuckle. Sorry Mel, she meant no offense, just she is speaking truth. I said, calming her down as I pull her into a hug. Fine. I can't stay mad at her for being honest. She pouts as I then text 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 my plan for Katsuki. He was not surprised as he knew after the various bringers of death's attacks when worldwide law was put into effect that anyone hero or villain works alongside them they are signing a death sentence as if they're caught the punishment is death. He knew that much as I despise Katsuki I didn't have it in me to put him to death. We should make Katsuki grow his hair out. I hear Mitsuki giggle. Yeah, and start wearing makeup, suggested Achiko as Melissa and Inko giggle. I know. Hang on, I got this serum I've been working on for the jackalope girl. I've not managed to make the full thing, but this will be a hilarious test. Squeaks Melissa as she rushes off. The other three look at me and I shrug. Don't look at me, I wasn't reading any of your minds, so we'll all find out together. About a minute later Melissa comes back in dragging a terrified Katsuki as she has a massive F-off needle in the other hand. Oh, what's with the big butt needle? Did you figure out he was scared of shots and threaten a rabies shot on him? Asks Mitsuki as Oka and I chuckled at that. Not really. Katsuki, I have a gift for you. First she says as she activates full bowling. Katsuki yelps and takes all his clothes off. Once more bare naked as we all look at Melissa confused. 1A's 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 from what Izuku told me has severe body issues from her having small melons and but for a girl. Ever since the entrance exam I had an idea to help her. This is the serum I've been working on to modify her body to the degree she prefers. I have not perfected it yet, but this Katsuki will help you with Daddy Izuku. She says giggling as we all still don't understand. Then lining quick she injects Katsuki. Hard as hell too. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻. He yelped before all of our jaws drop. What is it? He asks and we all point to his chest. He looks down to see he now has melons as big as 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿. Holy sh, I got big tips. Wait, why do I got big tips? He shouts as confused as the rest of us. This, as I said, Katsuki, is part of a serum I'm developing. I have yet to modify the body enough to give this to Jiro, but once I do I can give her the body she views as perfect. For now I can only modify someone's melons. Also, those are permanent. She explains before sweat dropping. These feel awesome. Yeah, Katsuki didn't pay much attention before blushing. Daddy Izuku wanna play with my tips? He asks as he walks up and gets on his knees. The four of us look at each other before all of us grab his melons. Holy sh, they feel just like mine, shouts Oka as I nod in agreement. Does Daddy like them? He asks while and still blushing making Mitsuki and Inko giggle. Well, not gonna lie, but they feel great. You're sure they're permanent, Melissa? She nods vigorously with a proud smile. I did plenty of testing. They are permanent. I haven't yet made the serum that affects the butt permanent yet, but if the mutt does a good enough job in all his duties, then when I do I can give him but like Inko's or 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿's. Katsuki still asks. Are you sure, mommy? Melissa. Melissa nods again. Yes, as long as you follow our rules. But I ain't gonna make you a real girl. You would need to wait until you've fully atoned for all your misdeeds. Katsuki tears up happy. That's a fine mommy, Melissa. Just to have a body like mommy 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿 would be amazing enough. I think daddy might come lots with me then. I don't even think I want to be a girl. Daddy, will you titty fuck me? He asks as I groan. Will you be a good girl and not disobey for the rest of the day? I ask and he nods. Does the quartet of mommies okay it? I ask and they each giggle and nod. Fine. He could be enjoyable as these tips really are just like yours, Oka. I say as 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿 chuckles. Then you'll come lots and enjoy it if they feel just like mine, says Oka as I stand up and drop my shorts before sitting down as Katsuki scoots up and wraps his tips around my pee-pee while I grab one of Oka's and one of Mitsuki's. Ooh, that feels great, I say as Katsuki starts to move his tips up and down. The four watching on for a full 10 minutes before Mitsuki asks, can I swallow that load, Izu? As I want to see if it's as delicious as Inko, Oka, and Melissa said. I smile as Katsuki nods. Mitsuki hops down as Katsuki backs up, allowing Mitsuki to take his place. She smirks as she inhales my pages. Oh phew, yes Mitsuki. I am out as she starts skinning me like a champ. A minute later I grab her head and unload down her throat. Oh phew, yes. I grunted out as I shot several ropes of cum down her throat. 2 mouthfuls worth and she swallows every drop. Holy hell, that's amazing, she says as she pops off my pee-pee, cleaning it before she climbs back up to sit next to me again. Well, apparently all those who taste it think it is. We all chuckle as Katsuki put his shorts back on before asking, do I have to wear a shirt or can I keep these amazing tips out? I look from the girls then to him. For tonight you can be topless, but tomorrow you have to wear the attire we pick out for you unless specified otherwise. He jumps and does a fist pump before apologizing. It's fine. Anyway, it's getting late, let's show you to your before we get dinner made. I say as well, all head off to take him to his new room. As we each contemplate new things we will have him do. The hell he has wrought onto himself. Either way, I have a feeling I know 3 boys I can mess with by inviting them over. I'm sure they'll be easily fooled, huh? The second day of UA High started off well and good for myself, Oka, and Mel. As first thing we did was add Inko and Mitsuki to the marriage. But then time came for the battle trials. While I was changing into his hero suit, caught thoughts that made him incredibly furious. Spinning on my heels, I unleashed a wave of killer intent so powerful the boys couldn't move or breath. Seeing the 2 who have dared try to sneak peeks on my wives. Grapist. 𝐬𝐴𝐵. I warned you to change your ways or risk drawing my ire. Back away from the peephole if you value your lives. My Netta and Kaminari stood up straight, slowly turning to see me irate to the max with my magics sparking off of me. or suffer the wrath of a dragoon for trying to sneak peeks at my wives and the other girls of class. Not entirely sure what I meant and too terrified to risk finding out, the two pervs leapt back as I stormed towards the wall and used earth magic to repair the peephole. Thanks 𝐻𝐼𝐬𝐴. I heard Oka and Mel shout from the other side. No problem. I shouted back with my sun-like smile before turning to face the pervs one more time. Hey Oka/Mel, tell the girls the plan for after school. I shouted as I smiled with murderous glee. Kaminari, Mineta. If you behave, then you too can accompany us to my home to me, the girl of your dreams. Play your cards right and she may even take pity on you and have some happy fun times. Suddenly they heard the girls die laughing from the other side with Oka shouting. They said they're all coming, Izu. She will be so happy to meet them, I just know it. The rest of the boys were confused as to why I appear to be placating the pervs before I snapped. Now finish changing and get out to Site B as requested by All Might. The dumbass pervs happy they basically didn't die and might even get laid today smiled and got changed quick. No sooner had they left did I cackle madly before explaining. Yeah, it's not a girl. Just a villain who sided with the ones out to conquer Earth. Gonna dress him up as a chick and F with their heads. The other boys started laughing before the one with tape arms asked. Wait, so soon as they see he's a dude, what is that the end of it? Making me smile more. Oh, they will only find out after he SS them off and they plow his butt. As I'll work my magic and trick them into not even seeing he has a PP and no pages. The boys blinked as they absorbed the info before dying laughing harder than ever. Holy hell, that he f hilarious. But why the girls agree to go? Asked Kirishima. I smiled as I explained. Because they each get to film it so as to have blackmail against them if they refuse to change. That was what finally broke the boys into fits of laughs so hard they almost ended up late for the training. Even Shoto Todoroki was laughing hard as hell. After that we had our training and surprisingly the pervs caused no issues. I was teamed with Kyokujiro against Todoroki and Mizo Shoji. With us as the villains. As we placed the bomb at the top, as due to Shoji's quirk he could detect us. It made a plan unnecessary as I already figured out what the pair would do based on my knowledge of the two, and it went exactly as I surmised. While we waited for them to arrive, I struck up conversation with Jiro. Dude, will you really trick the pervs into FA guy? She asked as I smirked and explained. Oh, definitely. See, the dude is a quirkist prick who had several times beat up Oka when we were small before my dragoon powers activated. Because he apparently fell in love with me and I didn't reciprocate his attraction. He knew I loved her, so took his anger out on her. Jiro was blushing at that as I smiled. But you married her and Melissa both, right? I nodded and explained the past day's events to her as well as the arrangement between the four women and myself. She was neon red from that. Wow, that's a phew. She stated, unable to fully form a proper sentence. Well said, Jiro. Does it bother you? I asked and she shook her head. No, just never thought that type of relationship was real. I smiled at her honesty. Even the part where I forced Katsuki to SCK me off and take it up his butt. She just shrugged. From your words, dude's a PP and deserved it. Kinda hot though. Wait, does that mean you are into dudes or both? She asked as still blushing. I chuckled. Not into dudes. Though he'll surprise you when you see him. She was gawking with her mouth open for a sec before saying, wow, I don't know any dude like you, Izuku. I blushed from her use of my given name. What do you mean, Kyoka? I asked her as was confused. You literally never lied to me once. Wait, did you call me Kyoka? She asked at the end, bright red. Oh, I guess from your quirk you can detect lies. Oh, and yeah, as you used my given name first, so seemed fair to use yours too. She blushed even brighter at that. Sorry. I didn't. She starts, but I smile at her, stopping her sentence. It's fine if you wish to call me Izuku as long as I can call you Kyoka too. Deal. She nodded as the buzzer to start sounded and I felt it. I go into red-eyed dragoon form as I felt the freezing powers of Todoroki freezing the building and stand near her. To her surprise, the ice stops before reaching me from the heat of my flames. Holy SHT. I knew you were hot and all, Izuku, but She teases and I turn towards her winking. Not as hot as you, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. She froze for a sec before turning crimson all over. Even her lobes, which coincidentally fell to the floor. Are really? She asks as I nod saying yes. We hear the two making their way up to us. By the way, Mel has been making something specifically for you. You'll see what I mean when we get to our place. Which confuses her as we listen to the boys rushing the top floor. I smirk and place a sword in front of 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 and fly above the door. Landing on the ceiling, plunging my sword into it to maintain my position. The door flies open and both boys rush in confused to only see a blushing, giggling 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Before they can ask, she plugs her lobes into the boots and fires off a blast at them. Only taking down 𝐀𝐮𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿 stands up and growls out, "Where's Shimura?" Only for 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 to laugh and point up to me. He follows her finger to see me smiling at him. "Hello, Shoto Todoroki." "Sorry, not sorry," I say, making him more confused, only for me to launch at him using my perfect addition combo with the blunt part of my katana, knocking him stone too. "Dang, Izuku. Did you have to kill him?" asks 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 as I chuckle. "Oh, he ain't dead, but I may have broken a few bones. Mel heal him soon as All Might ends the training." A moment later, All Might finally ends the My guess the kids all thought I murdered Shoto. I reach down and heal the boys as 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 hands me my other katana. "Oh, thanks, CC Rockstar. Anywho, I'll carry us all out if you aren't opposed to piggybacks, 𝐻. She blushed wildly from the combo of calling her CC and suggesting a pigback, but hops up as I kneel down and grab the boys. I fly out of the window and fly us to street level before reverting to base. Time skip to end of day. I had also invited Nito Monoma to the house alongside the 1B girls as we met during lunch, and Nito just set me off with his quirkless SHT and thoughts of the girls. We all make our way to my home as I messaged Mitsuki and Inko about the plan. They found it funny as F and dolled up Katsuki as we all talked amongst each other. To say the size of the home was surprising to them would be an understatement. The girls were in shock at the place as they did know I owned my home and it was built by Achiko's parents, but not the scope of it. "Holy hell, Izuku. How can you afford this?" asked 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 as all the girls blushed at her use of my given name. "Oh, I guess I forgot to mention. Yeah, I created Dragatech, the support gear company. As well, I own a few other businesses." Surprising all the girls and even the trio of pervs. "DMN. You got room for another wife?" said 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 teasingly. I smiled as I turned to her. "Sure, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐽𝐻. Long as the other four agree," I say, winking at her as she nearly faints, having to be caught by Melissa and Momo. "Too far?" I ask as the girls break into nervous laughter. I smile as 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 regains her feet and lead the group inside. Once inside the incredible tech that was scattered throughout the home, the pervs freeze when they see Inko, Mitsuki, and Katsuki. The girls are confused as I temporarily knock out the pervy trio and we explain, even make Katsuki prove he's a boy. "Whoa, it really is a boy. But the melons?" asks Momo, and Melissa brings out a second F-off needle, making Katsuki shriek in fear. "I've been working on a serum to help our resident rock star here feel better about herself. Right now I could only make the melons permanently larger." The girls look shocked to hear that as 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 tears up, asking how we knew. "I met you before the entrance exam. About a month or so ago during one of the events for Dragatech. I used illusions to appear like an old man. When there I heard you think your self-doubts and body issues, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. I asked Mel and Oka to help you with it. Little did I know Mel was going to work on making a serum to physically give you the body you longing." She looked on stunned as she remembered the event. I even used magic to show my illusioned appearance, which shocked the girls. However, after the trio have their fun with 𝐶𝐻 here, then we ruin their world. Once done, we can head to your place and talk to your parents about the serum and give you the shot to at least modify your bust. Then when Mel perfects his final serum, you can have that as well. Sound like a plan, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫? She tears up more and nods as she hugs Melissa and then me. Cool. Well, girls, ready to watch the trio get trucked? The girls all begin snickering as we tell Katsuki to put his CC maid's outfit on. After I wake the pervs up, they look to see the room with myself surrounded by my 4 wives and the girls all taking different vantage points. Only then do they see Katsuki. Okay pervs. Meet Katsumi, she's the daughter of Mitsuki here. She works as my maid as punishment for a few shoplifting issues she has. Now you three, if she allows it, can get your PPSCKD and even F her in the butt. The boys blush at that news before they talk it out amongst themselves. Then the grape asks, why not the pages? Katsuki pouts and grabs his body to simulate feeling hurt. Grape, I will tell you this once. She was raped as a child. As such, she can't stand the thought of vaginal entertasis. She has PTSD so much that she refuses to let anyone even see it. It causes a few issues with her 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Now do you want laid or not? The three pervs all apologize profusely for that and agree to the deal. That's good. But before we let you three get started, the 1A and 1B girls have a request. They, while not ready for SEC stuff, wish to at least watch and film you three having SEC with Katsumi here. Can they? The pervs, being stupid as F, agree. The girls all stifle giggles as Katsuki does his best imitation to mimic a feminine voice, talks a bit with the pervs who still don't catch on. I shift the trial around so we are all facing the couch and signal the four to begin. He leads the trio to the couch and sits them each down on it after they take off their clothes. The girls nearly die laughing as the grape is even smaller than Katsuki, with Kaminari and Monoma both at 5 inches. The girls all have their phones out as Katsuki takes off his top and skirt to reveal no BR and tiny panties, allowing each boy to play with his tips. Holy hell! They feel amazing, shouts Kaminari as the two others agree. He thanks. You boys really are like them. They nod in agreement. I snicker knowing what Katsuki is thinking. But Daddy, I always liked big babu. Mommies are much bigger, but maybe Daddy would have stayed if mine had come sooner. The girls barely kept the snickers quiet enough to prevent the boys hearing them. Katsuki smiles as he leans in and kisses Kaminari on the lips for a full minute before breaking to kiss Monoma. Whoa, she's an amazing kisser, says a drooling Kaminari, making Kyo almost break, but we settle her down. As we watch, he then kisses Mineta as both Kaminari and Monoma start stroking their pages. Before I realize what's happening, Mitsuki hops off my lap and has Jiro sit on it. Oh, what's up, Mitsuki? I ask quietly. Oh, just testing a theory. I nodded as Kyoka blushes, as does the rest of the girls. 𝐻𝐵 sitting on YU? Kyoka asks me as I shrug. No clue, but I don't mind, I said, not realizing what I was saying, as Kyoka blushes even more. The girls start snickering at her as she covers her face. Unfortunately, or fortunate, she had started grinding a bit and suddenly stops cold but has a full body blush. The rest of the girls pick up on this and ask what's up. I think she just activated Izu's magic pop, says Mitsuki, making the girls nearly pass out. Whoa, that's H huge, stutters Kyo, making the other girls raise their brows. As this is going on, Katsuki starts skiing on Monoma as he strokes the other two sitting on either side of him. The pervs start telling him as Inko leans down and whispers to Kyoka. You know, if you want, Miss Jiro, you could do what Katsuki is doing to our Izuku here. We four won't mind at all. Making Kyoka grind a bit more as she looks from me to Inko. Meaning, yes. Inko snickers. But we won't mind if you wish to give out man a BLWJB. Kyoka goes wide-eyed as the girls ask what Inko said. She suggested as something, was all Kyoka said before she looked at me, whispering, if I did that, would you be mad if I didn't have a CC with you? I smiled warmly to her. Not at all. Why would I be mad at you for not being ready for SC, Kyoka? Shocking her as she realized I spoke truth. She says loud enough for all the girls to hear. I smile and ask her to sit up so can get ready. She stands up as the girls watch confused. Then Inko pulls down my briefs and boxers as all the girls can see just how hard I got from Kyoka. Holy F. That is enormous, says Mina. I smirk. Thanks, alien queen. So Rockstar, the floor is yours. Say as I sit down again. The girls say something to Momo and she nods, suddenly creating a rail and setting it on the floor. It had slots built into it and I realize what's happening. Kyoka hands her ohon to Momo as she sets the phones in the slots to keep filming the boys and Katsuki. The other girls follow suit. Well, I guess that means you're all more interested in this, 𝐻𝐻. I say as 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 gets on her knees in front of me. About that same time we hear 𝐼𝐻𝐼. Oh, 𝐂𝐿𝐼 gonna come. I chuckle as I say out loud. Katsumi loves to swallow. A moment later we hear 𝐼𝐻𝐼 grunt as he comes in Katsuki's mouth and he swallows it all. WhatIf she does. Says 𝐼𝐻𝐼 as the two other pervs agree before Kaminari swaps places with 𝐼𝐻𝐼. Ready, 𝐀𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫? I ask as she smiles a bit and nods. She reaches down before smirking. Suddenly quick as a WP she wraps one jack around my PP and the other around my sack. I am a bit as the girls had covered their eyes. They slowly uncovered to see 𝐀𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫's loves not stabbed into me. Phew. Though she was gonna stab him in the pages. Says Kendo as the girls let out sighs of relief. Just then 𝐀𝐭𝐡 activated her jacks vibing my ball and PP as I am a bit before she starts stroking my member with the one. Oh, if that feels great, 𝐀𝐿. I say as she blushes saying. Ah, really? 𝐻𝐻, I hoped it would. Never tried this before. The girls were all rubbing their thighs together minus my wives who were kissing each other as they fondled their melons, which a few of the girls were drooling at. Oh, see Katsumi, you gotta be the best girl ever at this. We heard Kaminari say, which 𝐼𝐻𝐼 agreed to. 𝐀𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 grows tick marks before she leans forward and starts to lick my pages. Oh, 𝐻𝐻, guess she took offense, ah. I say as 𝐀𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 starts to coat my PP in saliva. The girls all nod and snicker. Watching intently as 𝐀𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 slowly takes me into her mouth. She gets about 3 inches in before gagging a bit and backing off. Slow and steady, 𝐀𝐭𝐿𝐵. You're doing a good job. I say as she winks at me. A moment later she starts bobbing up and down slowly taking in more and more. Ooh, that's all the way. You're great at this. I say as the girls watch on before my wives all take their tops and bras off as they make out and play with each other's melons. Who are all your wives by? Asks Kodai. I nod, which surprised the girls. Though only Inko and Mitsukiya have done more than kiss, fondle, and finger the others' pussies. That definitely shocked then. Until we heard Kaminari grunt as he had come in Katsuki's mouth. Then he and 𝐼𝐻𝐼 swapped places so tiny PP could get 𝐶𝐾D. 𝐀𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 was able to slowly take me down to base as I am from the vibrations and her 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐬𝐚 champ. By that time 𝐼𝐻𝐼 had finished leaking too. Katsuki stood up and pointed to Kaminari. Yours tasted best, so you get to F my tight, but first, okay, big boy. Kaminari fist pumped as Katsuki winked to the girls and slowly shook his head, mouth the words, they all taste horrible. I snickered and said what his real opinion of their cum was, making the girls giggle. Katsumi hates lube, so you three get to raw dog her butt and shoot inside it. Enjoy, boys. I said loud without to not distract them and embarrass 𝐀𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. The rest of the girls all sat watching. We heard Kaminari enter Katsuki as the guns Katsuki let out were a bit loud. Ooh, 𝐀𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. When I am ready to come, do you want me to let you know so you can trade with one of my wives and they can swallow it? I ask as she looks at me and shakes her head side to side. You want to swallow it? She winks as she and making the girls blush more. Mitsuki and Melissa stopped making out for a second as they both spoke. 𝐻𝐻, his cum is delicious. Before making out again, leaving the girls' mouths wide open. Katsuki was up a storm as he asked 𝐼𝐻𝐼. You wanted to F my tips? 𝐼𝐻𝐼 nodded and he stood up as he positioned himself. As Kaminari was F Katsuki doggy style, he could titty fuck him without stopping the anal. 𝐼𝐻𝐼 drooled watching them. Oh, 𝐀𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, I'm leaking, I said as I felt a hand cover my mouth to prevent the grunts from revealing what's going on over here. I looked and was surprised to see a blushing Momo attached to the hand. I am as I felt my cum rocket into 𝐀𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫's mouth and she let out a soft surprised but she swallowed every drop. Before backing off as I heard Kaminari grunt from leaking in Katsuki's butt. F that butt is so perfect, he said as he pulled out. Perfect. Gore, I heard 𝐀𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 grumble as she cleaned my PP of the excess. What's wrong, 𝐀𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫? I asked after Momo uncovered my mouth. Izu, think you could F me in the butt? She said, stunning the girls, even my wives, as so far none had 𝐶 with me. Well, minus Katsuki taking it up his butt. You want me to F you in the butt? I ask quietly as we hear Monoma start F Katsuki in the butt. Yeah. I don't mind if you want to do it. She said, blushing more. Momo, can you make lube? I ask as Momo blushes. Ah, yes I can. She says before making some. I thank her as Kyoka stands up and smirks before getting completely naked, much to all our surprise. Hee, I know I'm not as big as you all up top or down below, but least this way won't mess up my clothes. Heh. She says nervously. The girls, especially my wives, knew the truth though. She was trying to hide how much she hated her slim build. I know it may not mean much to you, but I don't find any flaws in your body. I know how much you hate your appearance, which is why I have no problems helping you have the body you longing. I say using telepathy, and she smiles softly as she turns to me. She has lean arms and a 4-pack. Her melons, while yes small, are not as flat as she thinks they are. Her butt is pretty big for a slim girl. Her areola and nipples are both small. She has a well-trimmed bush as well. Thanks Izu. She says, confusing the girls, but they don't ask. I smile as I ask her to lean down. Confusing her for a moment, she does as asked. I lean up and kiss her on the lips, surprising all but my wives, who I asked mentally. Not gonna lie, her soft lips felt awesome as I kissed her. She was along with me as we kissed. We broke the kiss as we heard Monoma grunting loud as he unloaded into Katsuki's butt. He then pulled out and sat down next to Kaminari. They watched Katsuki get on his knees and press his face to the floor so midget perv can F him. Wow. What was that like? Asked the shippers Tokage, Ashido, and Hagakure. Kyoka smiled. Absolutely amazing. She said as I put some lube on my PP, and she bent over in front of me, allowing me to put some on her butt. We heard Mineta as he barely managed to enter Katsuki's butt. I used telekinesis to lift Kyoka up a bit and position her to place her CC feet on my knees as I had done with Katsuki, and slowly lowered her until I rested against her hole. The girls watching in awe. Momo, can you hold your hand over my mouth while he enters me so I don't scream? She asks as the rest watch. Momo smiles and does as asked. I slowly enter her as she enters up a storm. I go just fast enough to allow her but to adjust to my girth inside it. By the time I get to being all the way inside her, we hear the grapist come inside Katsuki. My wives, having gathered their clothes and redressed, stepped between the rest of the girls and the rail and began passing the phones to their owners. Each girl stopping their recording and Momo stopping. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Then I use a glamour to make the girls all appear to be watching the boys as my wives speak. I hold on to 𝐾𝐻 as we wait to start for the talk to end. Wow, Katsuki, how many times do they make your PP spurt? Asks Mitsuki as the 3 pervs freeze and the girls begin laughing. Katsuki. Pages. The pervs say in unison. Inko stands Katsuki up and smirks at the pervs. Yeah. See, there is no Katsumi Bakugo. Only Mitsuki and Katsuki Bakugo. You 3 just got done making out with a boy and getting blown by him before F his butt. As she says that, Katsuki points at them all and cackles. Daddy has a much bigger PP with way tastier cum. Idea men near puked from you 3. Not to mention microdick barely even made it in my butt. In his normal voice as Melissa and Oka yank his panties down, causing the pervs to scream for about 5 minutes upon seeing his 2-inch pages. Haha, the 3 pervs are all as gay as Katsuki. Was about the gist of what all the 1A and 1B girls shouted. Followed by Oka saying, "Oh, and before you freaks bolt and try anything, we all filmed it. Remember?" As the pervs paled, realizing the shitstorm about to happen. So, if you 3 don't change, we're showing all the boys and even the whole school. No more pervy SHT. No more quirkless SHT either, Monoma. Now get dressed and get the F out of our house. She shouts as she activates full cowling, scaring the boys into dressing and rushing out at light speed. As soon as they leave, I lock the door via magic and cancel the glamour. As we all die laughing before Kyoka smiles and tells me to start as Mitsuki orders Katsuki to go get cleaned up. Not gonna lie, Anal with her was F amazing. Oh F. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, your PP feel amazing in my butt. She this out loud as no longer having to be quiet. My wives and the girls all watch in awe as we F. Oh, your but is so tight, 𝐾𝐻. Definitely the best I ever F. My wives and Kyoka laugh, confusing the girls. "It better be said Kyo as she leans back against me. I lean my head towards her and kiss her again. For 5 minutes I f her amazing but into she arches back. 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐴𝐵. She shouts as I slow down and the girls all watch in shock as she 𝗀𝐮𝐴𝐵. Holy SHT, that's possible, shouted Mina and Setsuna. Mitsuki and Inko both chuckle. Yes girls. It's possible to 𝗀𝐮𝐴𝐵 from anal for men and women both. Inko says as Kyo slowly catches her breath. DMN. You are amazing Izuku. She said before we start back up again. Hehe, thanks 𝐶𝐶 Rockstar. Hehe, as this is some amazing hehe. I say, making the audience chuckle at the play on words. After another 15 minutes and one more CMX for Kyo, I finally feel ready to unload. Oh, phew, gonna come? I said as the girls all watch. Oh shoot, that load Izuku. She says as I pump twice more into her before I blast my load deep inside her. Phew, yes Izuku. She shouts as she 𝗀𝐮𝐴𝐵 again. The girls whoop and holler as Kyo and I both come down from our 𝗏𝐮𝐬𝐴. After that she gets embarrassed a bit as her and I work in unison to lift her off my still hard pages. Holy SHT, he's still hard after having come twice. Asks Kendo, amazed at that fact. Yeah, our husband has near infinite stamina due to his ultimate dragoon spirit and partial 𝗛𝐴𝐵 biology. Surprising them all, only the 1B girls hadn't known about the 𝗛𝐴𝐵 biology part. I tell them to wait so both Kyoka and I can get cleaned up and I'll explain it after. Kyoka leans over and asks, how we gonna shower together? I chuckle as I lead the way. Once out of earshot I speak. We can if you want, but I have multiple bedrooms and bathrooms so we do not have to Kyo. She giggles at that, remembering I live in a mansion. Can we? I nod to her as I take her to the shower and start the water. Did you really like it with me Izuku? She asks nervously as we step in the shower. Yes, I did. I also meant what I said about your body, Kyoka. While I find nothing wrong in our appearance, I know you do. I know I'm just a boy, Kyoka Jiro, yet I have not lied to you once since we met, have I? I ask as she smiles to me. Not once, Izuku. You're incredibly honest. As well, you went out of your way to help me. I know you didn't mean help by way Melissa is devising, but you still did not have to bother. She said as I wrapped my arms around her waist. Most of UA students -2 don't know my full story. But Inko, my adoptive mother, and Mitsuki taught me a hero never stands by doing nothing when they can help. They do not need to be asked for help to give it. Nor do they help others for a reward. You need help whether you see it or not. So help you I will. Stunning the rocker once more. She broke down as she told me all the horrible things she felt from years of boys and girls both bullying her for her appearance and quirk. The fashion choices, etc., etc. I listened as I lathered her and washed her. By the time she finally got it all out, she was surprised to realize she had vented all her frustration out for the duration of the shower. As I handed her a towel. Kyoka, I understand hating one's appearance and being bullied for one's quirk status. Achiko and Melissa both fell victim to bullying. I was bullied verbally as most who tried to fight me realized it was impossible to beat me. When we get out there I'll explain my backstory in full, but know this. If you want to take the serum, I will not hold it against you. Because even though I have given my honest opinions of you, sometimes the only way to fix it is physical, not just verbal. She nodded and smiled bright. I understand, Izuku. Thank you for listening. I've been holding that in for a long time. I smiled warmly at her as we made our way to the group. It's not good to hold it in. It will only fester and cause undue stress. She nodded as we walked up in our towels to see the girls and Katsuki. There you are. We've been waiting forever. Even though we sent Katsuki to check, he wouldn't say what was happening. Says Oka as I sigh and tell them it's not my secret to tell. Kyoka giggles before shuffling her feet. I told him everything. The years of bullying I've been through for my appearance, body, and even choice in clothes. I won't go in details just yet, but he listened. He didn't judge me or anything, just listened and gave me some advice. My wives teared up as they knew me enough to have each gone through such a thing. The girls, on the other hand, were surprised and tearing up, feeling bad for Kyoka. From the length of time you were gone, I take it that it was a lot. Asked Momo. Kyoka smiled and nodded. Since PBRTY started. Admitted Kyoka as we got dressed. So why didn't Katsuki tell us? Asked the girls, but the four wives sighed before pointing to me and Oka. Well, Katsuki until yesterday was their bully. A quirkless SHT for brains like Monoma. But after he was severely punished for siding with villains and the bringers of death we warned you of and what he did to Mitsuki, he's had a change of heart. Said Inko as the girls were confused. I snickered. Basically, I raped him for trying to RPE his mother, and after dominating him he realized his feelings and chooses to work for me until he has atoned for his years of sins against us and many others. That made the girls all blush before Mina asked. Wait, he wanted to RPE Mitsuki? I nodded and told them. He, while she was been held hostage yesterday, tore her clothes and fondled her melons but then jacked off onto her feet. So we decided best way to teach him that was wrong was to RP him in turn. The girls were still a bit confused when Kyoka laughed. Confusing, isn't it? Remember the talk while we eated for Todoroki and Shoji in battle training? Well, Izuku told me about that. I thought probably what those three shippers are thinking. I asked if he was gay or bi. He's not. Though with the four wives he has helped, it made it easier to do. I nodded as the girls were shocked to hear that. Yeah. Though dude's in love with me. Not sure if that is a compliment or not, but me don't really care. Though the deal is if he does a good enough job working as our maid and following our rules, I will throw him a bone here and there and F his butt or let him SEK me off. The girls all began to fan themselves at that when Pony spoke in English. That's hot as F. I chuckled, as did Melissa and Kendo. Well, that's kind of what Kyo said when she found out about it. Confusing the girls as Melissa explained. Pony said it was hot as F. Ergo Kyoka must have said something similar. I nodded after finishing getting dressed. I said it was kinda hot. I stand by that too. Bet you girls would been turned on if Izuku was one of the ones to get Isikidi off by Katsuki then powerfuck his butt. The girls snickered, but I cackled. Single. What? Ha 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 DMN. Guess they wanna watch me dominate him sometime. Well, I don't think today, but maybe next time I'll invite the girls and they can watch. Oh, I do know one thing they can watch though. My wives smile viciously as they dragged him to me. Please not this again, it was bad enough last time. The girls got nervous, but Kyoka had to hold her ribs, she was laughing so hard. Again, Katsuki, when did I say you get a choice in punishments? I said, unzipping my breathes as they force him to his knees and hold his mouth open. The girls all watching as I point to his mouth. Remember last time and what you had to do? Same this time. Can't have you making a mess of your attire or the floor. Oh, and since you like to be recorded, feel free to film it, girls. I say as they all shrug and pull out their phones. And action, Izuku! Shouted Kyoka as I began psing in Katsuki's mouth once more as he cried and swallowed it all. The girls all were laughing hard as hell as they watched, while also insulting the dirty girl who loves the taste of urine. As soon as finished, I zipped up and took a bow. How bad did he F with you guys to warrant all this? Asked Mina as she chuckled. One day, Alien Queen, I'll tell you. Now it's time I let you all in on what I am. The last of two species, one explanation later. Holy hell. Aliens are real. Asked Mina. I nodded, telling them. The bringers of death. Their appearances aren't costumes or quirks. They are the resurrected corpses of dead aliens from a variety of worlds. Mostly. Almost every officer is not a reanimated corpse. I am the reason they came to this world. But unfortunately they realized I am also the bane of their existence. I said as I remember my mother and father died fighting them and guaranteeing my safe travel to Earth. Katsuki wept as he realized. All the years I mistreated you. You had every right to kill me, Izuku Feld. If you were anyone else, I would already be dead. I nodded. The girls all wept as they realized why I said last of two species. So your mother or father was one of 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 things? Asked Momo, trying to understand. No. My mother was partial 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, as she was one of the various reincarnations of the most powerful 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 who yearned for world demps. He was killed 10,000 years before New York mother and father were born. But a spell would allow a moonchild to be born who, unless slain, would be controlled by 𝐴𝐿 𝐵𝐿 and yet again begin his brutal conquest. I am the only being from my BRTH planet alive. Barring any that the bringers of death revived for their army. That shocked them all. As my wives were the only ones who had known my entire story. Not even Katsuki knew. Eventually the girls all bid farewell after giving me all their numbers, which I have a feeling they wanted in on the marriage. Melissa and I spoke with Kyoka after she handed me her number. Well, should we head to your place and explain things, Kyo? I asked as she smiled a bit. Don't worry. Whichever you choose we will help with, Kyoka. Izuku never breaks a promise. Nor would he be angry if you agree to use the serum. Kyoka chuckled as I listened to her thoughts, knowing the question. Yo girls. Kyoka has a question for us. She went wide-eyed. You mean you have no problem with me asking? I nodded as she asks the girls if she could be part of this too. Well, I knew you were attracted to him, it was why I had you sit in his lap. I'm fine with you joining if they are. Mitsuki said, surprising Kyoka. The three others all agreed. Well, Rockstar, guess that makes you number 5. I said with a smile. Yeah, but she's done more than any of us with you, says Oka as Kyo tilted her head. Oh, the only girl to do any PNTRN with is you. Katsuki was first, but again he's a dude. Kyoka chuckled at that as she hugged me. Though Izuku in a few days will be impregnating me and Mitsuki. Said Inko as Kyo chuckled. Could I be here when that happens? I nodded before Mel and I left with Kyoka to talk with her parents. I have a feeling you're getting about 11 more Gurks added to us 5, Izuku. Said Melissa as I laughed. Well, you're not wrong. Gauging Fro. Them giving their numbers, thoughts, and how hot they all got watching me and Kyoka, it wouldn't be much of a surprise. I said as Kyoka chuckled, leading us to her home. Soon we're going to be at war, but I hope the wives and all 1A and 1B girls are safe throughout. I was accompanying Mel and Kyo to speak with Kyoka's parents about the serums Melissa is creating. Izu, will you tell them about the 𝐻𝗱 thing? Asked a nervous Kyo. Depends. Do you want me to? I asked as I held both girls' hands. She fidgeted a bit. I do, but I'm scared, Izuku. Scared how Mom and the old man will take it? She said as we slowed to a stop. Kyoka. Izuku isn't the type to lust for someone if he doesn't care about them. You accepted and trusted him as well as us. There's no way he'd make you regret your decisions. Said Melissa with a warm smile. I grinned as I spoke. Besides. If it helps, I am technically one of the richest people in Japan, Kyoka chuckled at that. DMN dude. I forget how quick-witted you are. I smiled at her song-like laugh. I am the last of 2 species. I understand better than most your longing to be loved and accepted. Never would I fake my acceptance of you nor my feelings for you. If memory serves, your mother has a weaker version of your quirk, so she will know I speak the truth. I will explain my side of things as you explain yours. When she sees the honesty in our words, then you'll see you've naught to fear. I said, smiling bright. She blushed and hugged me. Thanks, Izuku. You're definitely an honest dude, so I know they'll see your opinions aren't false. She said, a bit teary-eyed. We once more set off to her home. After arriving, I told her parents my full story. As well how I felt towards her. How she told me her past and I yearned to help her. Her mother wept as she listened, hugging Kyo. She asked why Kyoka hected in so long. Because I didn't want you to feel sad for something we couldn't see control. I thought at first I could handle it, but it got too much. But meeting Melissa and Izuku, they helped. I never even knew they were working on a way. She said, crying in her mother's arms as Kyotoku sobbed silently. Can you really help our lil rocker? He asked as I smiled bright and had Mel show them the serum. She explained the whole of her goals with the serums she's been creating and how this one is the first one she perfected. How it would help her physically to accept herself. While if she chooses to take the serum, I will not be upset. As even though she knows how I feel and how I think she's appealing as is sometimes, it requires more than just one opinion. The serums Mel is concocting can do more for her than we could emotionally, as she's suffered so long. Even if she takes them, we will all do our best to be there for her. It will take a lot of effort. Yet a hero's job is to help those in need, and as strong and powerful as she still needs help. Bet win us all we can correct the damage caused by the years of bullying she's suffered from in silence. I said, surprising the parents as they never thought someone would be so willing to help anyone. Izuku is amazing, isn't Mom? 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 asked as she smiled, drying her eyes. That he is. Not once has he lied since you three got here. Nor has Melissa. It's obvious how much the two of you care for our little 𝐀𝐮. Even 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 can see that, said Mika. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 grumbled but smiled the whole time. The three Jiro spoke, and after deliberating they decided to allow 𝐀𝐮 to take the serum if she wishes. As well, they understood that even though I do have 4 wives, that they saw no deviant behavior, so they agreed to allow 𝐀𝐮 to marry me as well. See, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. I told you that as long as we speak honestly you would have no reason to fear. She smiled and nodded as he parents chuckled. Was she scared how we would respond? Izuku asked her mother. Yeah, but even as scared as she understood and felt it was time to explain everything from start to finish. It takes courage to speak frank about such issues, and as you both know, she's a very brave young woman, I said with a warm smile. Her parents chuckled as they remembered when she told them her longing to be a hero. So 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, have you decided? I asked, and she nodded. I know your words about me are true, Izuku, but even so I think I'd like the serum, she said nervously as I smiled. Very well, Rockstar. Chin up, no matter your appearance or choice I won't view you any different, 𝐀𝐮. As you decide what to do with your body, not me or anyone else, I said as I hugged her. She let out a sigh of relief before Mika led the two to grab some of her tops and bras, as they knew 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 wouldn't fit in her current clothing once the serum takes effect. You're a very unique young man, Izuku, Feld Shimura. I've never seen my little girl warm up to someone so fast. Normally she keeps people at arm's length. I didn't understand why until today. I originally thought it was due to my overprotective nature. I feel like I failed her, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 said as he sighed. You did not fail her. She chose to keep the feelings in check, not because of your overprotective nature, but as she told me she didn't want to hurt your feelings, to make you depressed over something natural that was beyond her control. She, like myself, was bullied for that. Me for being quirkless, but still their words did hurt me as they did to her. I said to him, remembering all the things the kids at Aldera said. How did you overcome them? Why could she not? He asked, confused. I smiled. I learned my true lineage and have magical copies of my real parents in my mind. They, along with my adoptive mother and aunt, helped me. As well, I chose to not keep my thoughts bottled up. I am not at all blaming her for keeping them inside. Many abused people do the same thing. It's hard to express one's pain to others, even family. When she explained all the thoughts and feelings she had, it was like a great weight came off her shoulders. She had never told anyone that before, so she was trapped in a world where she could see no way out. Fear, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, is a powerful emotion. It can help us stay alive, but fear can also overpower us. Even the strongest, bravest person could be broken by fear. Hopefully, between all us being there for her to rely on and the serums, she can finally climb out of her well of despair and obtain true happiness and accept her past, I said with pure conviction in my voice. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 looked on in shock. You know, you're way smarter than any 15-year-old I've ever met. Definitely smarter than me. I put my trust in your hands, Izuku. Lift her up to stand as equals. Bring back the happy little girl she used to be. Just no kids for the time being, as she's still young, he said, nervous at the end. I chuckled. Well, much as I love her, I don't want to ruin her chances at her dream. We're still only in our first year of high school after all, hee. I chuckled as 𝐀𝐮 and Mika walked back in. I must say she has developed amazingly well, as her melons are as big as Oka's, hee love them too. It really did work, said a shocked 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Yeah, old man, he told you it would, said a beaming 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. He gonna take some getting used to, but I definitely feel much better, she said, blushing as she looked at me. Well, you may not have the same figure as before, but I have no complaints, I said with a wink as Mika walked up beside me, blushing. She told me about the stuff you told her and did today. Not gonna lie, Izuku, that's hot as hell. Think I could watch you get 𝐶𝐾D and F that quirkest bully too. I nodded as she spoke. I don't mind. I figured she would say it to you. I chuckled as I whispered back. He bet those pervs regret picking on her, especially when you trick them into making out with a boy and F his butt. I grinned at that. Plus they were dead wrong when they said Katsuki's butt was best ever. I said as she chuckled at that. Surprised she not only 𝐶𝐶𝐸d your big PP but took it in her butt. I think I could have a turn taking it in mine. I smirked as 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 nodded. Well, she apparently agreed, so sure, why not? When do you want to try it? I asked. She smirked and asked, Hey 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, you up for some more cuck today? Making both Mel and 𝐀𝐮 blush wildly. Well, seeing as he did so much for our lil rocker, sure. Long as it's fine with his wives, said 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. I chuckled and sent a message to Oka, Inko, and Mitsu. Melissa and 𝐀𝐮 talked it out and agreed. We waited a moment before the other three gave their okay. 𝐀𝐮 and Mel asked if they could watch, which was no skin off my nose, but then 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 asked if he still gets to eat the come out, which surprised us. Sure, but from what I've heard he has huge loads. Think you can handle it? 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 liked his lips before nodding. Weird old man, but I bet you'll love his thick sticky loads, said 𝐀𝐮 with a toothy grin. I giggled at that. As Mika grabbed some lube before taking off her skirt and dropping her thong. Got a big butt and a hairless PP, not bad. DMN. Your mom's got one hella CC but 𝐀𝐮, shouted Mel as 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 blushes. I think you could make the serum give me one like hers, asked 𝐀𝐮 as Melissa chuckled and nodded. Hell yeah. I smirk as I spanked that thick but making Mika wow, DMN, that felt so good. Izuku, said Mika as she lubed her hole in my pages. He figured it would as you thought about me spanking ya. Wanna try it in standing butterfly? I asked as she blushed a bit, thinking I wasn't gonna be able to lift. I can lift up to 100 tons and hold it for 7 hours before getting tired. Besides, you don't look very heavy at all. That broke everyone but Melissa. Yeah. I tested that. He didn't even drop it as I 𝐶𝐶𝐸d him dry. 𝐀𝐮 and Mika about passed out from hearing that. Well, standing butterfly it is, Izuku, blushed Mika. I bend my knees as I put an arm around her waist and one under her thigh, lifting her effortless as she chuckled. She wrapped an arm over my shoulders as I spread her legs and shifted both hands under her thighs. Slowly I lowered her onto my PP and entered that tight but letting it adjust to my size. That's so amazing. GMM as 𝐀𝐮 watched on. Told you you'd enjoy anal with him, she said smiling. I chuckled as 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 pulled out his 5-inch PP and stroked it watching on. I started moving in and out of that amazing but as she loudly. Yes, I love it. My but Izuku, she shouted as I grunted. Your but is almost as good as 𝐀𝐮's, I said as I sped up. For 3 minutes I pounded her, but before 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 blew his load in his hand and liked it all up, making 𝐀𝐮 laughed, saying, DMN. He's almost as thirsty for cum as Katsuki. Maybe you should F his butt too. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 went wide-eyed at that. No thanks, he said as I kept pounding Mika's tight hole. I'm gonna come, Izuku, she shouted as she arched her back against and squirting hard as I slowed down. That was hot as hell, Mika, I said, amazed at the force of her SQR. She breathed hard at that. Yes. You can P&D my butt anytime. Right, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫? She said as 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 nodded. Well, that sounds like fun, I said as we started back up. For another 10 minutes I moved into her butt until finally, gonna 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. I shouted as she screamed. Me too, yes, Izuku. As we both came together, I shot reams and reams of cum inside her, as she SQR all over the floor. Holy hell. That was awesome, she said after recovering from it. I lifted her up off my PP and set her on the floor. She leaned against the coffee table as 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 shoved his face in there and ate up all the cum from her butt. Yes. Eat his huge load, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Eat it right out of my butt. Then clean his pages, said Mika as he mumbled in, further surprising 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 at how DMNT her mom was over him. As soon as he finished eating it all, he crawled over and winked at me as he liked my PP clean before bobbing on it to 𝐶𝐾 any excess of the come out. Dude's better at it than Katsuki, I'll give him that, but he pales in comparison to my 5 wives. He popped off as I winked at 𝐀𝐮. Well, not as good as 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, but he's better at BLWJBS than Katsuki. She blushed and smiled wide, thanking me. I pulled my boxers and jeans back on as Mika put her skirt back up. Hee after riding your huge PP, I can't wait to see your P&D, Katsuki. She cooed. We decided to allow 𝐀𝐮 to stay with me until can get her stuff moved in, so merely packed a few essentials for her and headed back home. Man, didn't expect my dad to be so SBMSSV. She said as we were almost home. True. He acts so manly but is a fan of feminization. Giggled Melissa. We got home and told them what happened, as well as Mika offering to let me F her but any time, and they were fine with it. Then we made dinner and went to bed. I probably could have F both Inko and Mitsuki but wanted to wait until tomorrow. Though Mel, Oka, and 𝐀𝐮 slept in bed with me as Inko and Mitsuki slept in another room. The next day at school was hilarious. The pervs denied everything, so I asked if can show the class the proof. Aizawa shrugged and left the room, not wanting to see that. Though Midnight came flying in to watch. Oh, I heard a story from Sho. Did you really have your beta dress up as a CC maid and have C with Monoma, Kaminari, and Mineta? She asked, stars in her eyes. Just. They even made out with him, Wanna watch? I asked with a cocky grin. She nodded fast, and to the surprise of all the students minus Oka, 𝐀𝐮, and Mel, she sat in my lap as Melissa got the TV up and running. She played the video as Midnight ground her perfect, but on my pages. Ooh, that monster always pops up so easy for me, She cooed as the video started. Well, he got hard as hell when I sat on his lap yesterday too. Said 𝐀𝐮, shocking the boys, even the pervs. Why would it get hard for a flat butt? Asked Mineta before all hell broke loose as all the women and myself leaked killer intent, making his soul try to flee his body before we kicked the 𝐬𝐻𝑡 out of him. Just for that grape you're gonna have to SCK off Kaminari as we watch when this video is done. I snarled after. The video resumed and Midnight asked what 𝐀𝐮 did after I got hard. Oh, I him dry and let him F me in the butt. Kaminari and the living corpse Mineta were shocked. But you were standing up watching us, we'd have known if you did either of those things. Zapnuts said, making me howl with laughter and show my illusions, as well as explain they were too enthralled with Katsumi to notice. As the boys watched, laughing their butts off at the pervs complimenting Katsuki and making out with him, they laughed even more when they saw Microdick naked. Midnight slowly grinded on my butt as she let me fondle her melons, surprising the girls. Oh, they've been doing that for weeks. Honest, we're amazed they haven't F yet. Said Oka, making the boys look and their jaws fall off. Oh, well, there's a reason for that. I made a promise to not have SEC with him until he impregnated Inko. Said Midnight as the class continued watching the pervs get head until Kaminari said Katsuki was the best at it. Midnight snarled as she got up and pulled me to Aizawa's desk, turning sideways so everyone could see. Then after pulling my boxers and trousers down, she got on her knees, making the boys all blush. Especially the pervs, as they weren't ready to see me get off by Midnight. Oh yes. I said as she inhaled my entire PP in one. Holy 𝐬𝐻𝑡. She's a legend. Shouted Oka and 𝐀𝐮 as they watched Midnight give me the best F head ever. The boys all pouted jealous, and Ida nearly had a heart attack shouting about how immoral it was. Oh, if just like that, oh Namuri. Ida, shut up, dude. Think on 𝐻𝐮 gives 𝐬𝐻𝑡 what's happening. I am as I tried to keep from shooting my load. Just then 𝐻𝐮 chimed in. He's right, Ida. His wives have no issue with it. As well, technically that's not illegal. Surprising the boys but not the girls, as they knew why. But 𝐻𝐮, sir, he's underage. Shouted Ida as 𝐻𝐮 cackled. He's also not a human from Earth, so again not illegal. He's a wingly human hybrid from a different world. So give it a rest. That blew their minds. Not as good as Namuri blew me, but meh, what can you do? I slowly started bucking into her mouth, and after a few more minutes I couldn't hold out anymore. Oh yes, Namuri. Leaking. I grunted out as she held me in, all the way blasting my cum down her throat. She swallowed 2 mouthfuls before pulling off me and showing the class the remainder in her mouth and swallowing. Oh. I still am amazed at the volume of semen you produce, Izuku. Said Momo, blushing wildly. The rest of the girls nodded in agreement. Definitely. Plus it's sweet as hell. Never tasted such delicious seed. Shouted Nemuri. How is he still hard? Asked Kirishima. I explained my stamina and the boys got more jealous. Then pulled my trousers and boxers back up, went and sat back down with her on my lap once more. How is he the HRM protagonist and not me? Whined Microdick Mineta. Because he's a real man and you're a small PP having pervy sexist prick. Roared Kyo. Making Mineta whimper. The footage ended and Nemuri asked me to help Mineta. I grinned devilishly and used my telepathy to yank both boys to Aizawa's desk and force 𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Izuku, can I head with you and your wives after class to watch you impregnate your ass? Asked Nemu. I nodded as 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 from Grapist blowing him. Oh, if you're better than Katsuki. I let up the telekinesis and still my Neta went at it. Are really? He asked, popping off, and 𝐀𝐮𝐴 nodded before my Neta continued. All the class was laughing like crazy. A minute later he screamed Grapist's name before leaking in his mouth. Hilariously enough, dude swallowed it all. After that was time to decide the reps. I got first with Melissa as vice. As classes continued, each teacher groaned to see Midnight still in my lap. Though they didn't risk pissing her off, so just went through our work. Before end of day we were told that tomorrow we'll be going to USJ for rescue training. After classes ended we headed to Nemuri's car and she drove us to my place. Once we got there we went inside to see a vibrating Katsuki. What's up? I asked as Inko and Mitsu walked up. I shoved a huge vibrator up his butt so he'd shut up. Anyway, you ready to impregnate us? I nodded after chuckling at his predicament. The wives and Nemuri full wed to Inko's room. We step inside as the pair get undressed. I 𝗧𝗟𝗘 down as the girls and Nemuri watch on. So, any choices? I ask as Inko wanted simply missionary with me on top. I smiled at that. Mistuki chose standing mermaid. Nemuri grinned wide as she hadn't seen anyone willing to do it in a long time. Well, I can do that. So Inko first. They nodded and we climbed into bed as Nemuri and the girls watched on. Inko laid back and spread her legs and PP as I got in position and lined up to her entrance. I kissed her as I entered her, making her in pleasure. Few so huge. She said as I smirked. He's so tight and weta. I said as I moved into her. The girls and Nemu watched on as Mitsuki fingered herself. God, you're the best, Izuku. She said as I from Inko's tight wet PP gripping me as I move in and out. Phew. God, I love your PP, Izuku. Inko as we sped up. More and more. For several minutes we went at it before she arched her back and screamed as she had a powerful 𝐶𝐿. Phew, yes Izuku. She screamed as she twitched from the powerful waves of pleasure coursing through her body. I slowed down some as she screamed. Oh, yes. Don't stop, Izuku. With me. I grunted a reply and kept going. Yes. God, I'll love your tight wet hole. I said as I felt her juices splashing all over me. She loud even after her 𝐶𝐿 finished and we sped up some. Holy, he made her orgasm so hard. Said Nemu as the girls agreed. Yeah, he made me 𝐶𝐿 several times when he ass-fucked me. Said Kyoka with Oka and Mel agreeing. They kept watching as we kept going as we heard Mitsu orgasm from her 𝐿. Phew, yes. I for good Izuku, I can't wait to take it in me. She loud as I plowed Inko. Not gonna lie, the woman who spent my entire life raising me was hot as hell. We were both getting into it even more by the fact she wants to have a baby with me. For another 20 minutes we went at it, changing speeds and making her 𝐶𝐿 3 more times before I felt ready to blast. Phew, yes Inko. I shouted, grunting as my load shot into her wet PP, making her splash me one final time. Phew, God, yes. Make me come Izuku. She screamed as I filled her WMB, both convulsing as we came down from our individual orgasms. Holy hell, Izuku is a god at this. Said Nemuri as I chuckled sheepishly from the comparison. How so? Asked Oka. Nemuri beamed a huge smile saying, well, he made her 𝐶𝐿 5 times. Before he came once. Never knew a guy could do that. Hell no, guys ever made me orgasm once during actual section, yes, but never with their pages. Inko was exhausted from it, breathing ragged. Think you F my soul into 𝐬𝐵 Izuku, she said as Mitsu crawled up to her and smirked. Well, let's clean that delicious pee-pee out first before you sleep, Inko. We all watched as Mitsuki ate her out and swallowed all the cream pie. That was F awesome. F hell. That's hot, said Nemuri and Melissa. I had to agree that definitely was hot. As soon as she finished, she looked at me. Well then, Izu, you ready to put a baby in me? I smirked at the query. Hell yes, Mitsu, I said, standing up and helping her to her feet. Nemuri smiled wide. Watch this, girls. It's not easy to handle this position. The girls watched as at first Mitsuki turned around and I entered her all the way. Then I placed my legs together as I slightly bent my knees and grabbed Mitsuki by the waist as she wrapped her legs behind my knees and thighs, placing her feet against my buttocks. She then bent her arms back and locked her hands under my arms, as if she were handcuffed. I straightened my arms out a bit before lifting her up a bit. Oof. You ready, Mitsu? I asked as the girls finally realized why the position was not easy to manage. F ya, Izu. I smiled as we started. It didn't take long to get in sync, and from this position I could get deep in her. Oh F ya. Your pee-pee is magical, Izu. Az, the girls were all watching and drooling. Inko was already passed out. Guess I did F her soul into 𝐬𝐵. Thanks. But so is your wet hole, I said, marveling at how well her pee-pee is gripping me tight as we go. Soon we were going relatively quick as our combined passionate ms and the sounds of flesh slapping flesh were filling the room. He making it look easy, said 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, surprised but then remembering my strength. Yeah, but the one I'm wondering on is Mitsu, said Melissa. Oka and Nemuri giggled. Well, I know you've seen how strong she is, Mel. Mitsuki could probably handle this for quite a bit, depending on how much effort Izuku puts in, said Nemu. She herself can handle this position for about an hour with a normal partner, but with Izuku she's not sure as he has such massive strength. Oh DMN. If me Izu. Make me a mommy again. Mitsu as the girls watched. I put a bit more power into it knowing she could handle it. OSHT. Just like that Izu. Ooh, perfect. We kept at this pace for 7 minutes before her first 𝐶LMX hit. Just like with Inko, she didn't want to stop but plow through her 𝐶LMX. Oh yeez, Izuku. Keep it up. Don't stop. She screamed loud as I grunted, pumping into her. She completely drenched me in her juices for a bit as her breathing grew heavy. For 15 minutes we went at it as she had a second 𝐶LMX. By the end we were both drenched in sweat and I finally felt my orgasm ready. Ooh yees, 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. I groaned out as she tells, do it Izu, OF yes. Make me a mommy again. We both in unison as our individual orgasms hit with a force akin to a hurricane. She was squirting so hard I thought was gonna shove my pee-pee out as I filled her with my cum. Soon as we both recovered, she unlocked her arms and put her legs on the floor. Leaning on the bed, she looked to Kyo and asked, Hey rocker, wanna eat this cream pie out of me? We all watched as Not blushed but nodded and knelt before Mitsuki. She slowly ate her out and was grabbing her new big tips with one hand and rubbing her pee-pee with the other. Holy F, that's hot, I said as the others agreed. Melissa then came up and SCKD my pee-pee clean. Kyo ate out Mitsu loud. She it yees rocker. Oh make me SQ. She hollered as both her and Kyo 𝐶LMX'd together. Hot DMN. You taste amazing, Mitsu. He loved the flavor of yours and Izu's juices, she said after finishing. Thanks rocker. Phew, you're almost as good as Izu is at eating pages, said a sleepy Mitsuki who crawled up and cuddled Inko. Nemu though worked behind Kyo. She moved so fast and soon as she turned around kissed her right on the lips, making both women now. She tasted both mine and Mitsuki's juices as she made out with her for a minute. Both 𝐿NG BRST in one hand and ass cheek in the other. DMN. That's awesome, said Oka as we watched and I got dressed. Soon as they broke for air, 𝐀𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 smiled. Well, I never saw that coming. You kiss almost as good as Izuku. She giggled, making Nemuri purr. Thanks 𝐀𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. You're a great kisser in your own right. We all giggled a bit before heading to my room and cuddling. He can't wait to see what tomorrow brings. I thought as we all fell asleep together.